Okay, today, February 1st, 2024. It's our 43rd session reading Urantia book with Heidi. We are going to begin reading paper 112, Personality Survival. And this is the first session for this paper. 今天是2月1号，2024年。这是我们第43次与海地读寓书，我们将开始阅读第112篇玉染下之书第3部分的第112篇人格的续存。好的 ，OK, Heidi, it's your turn.
Thank you, Ricky. Yeah, we it's very exciting. We just finished paper 111 about the thought adjusters, and we move slowly, but we're very thorough.
Yeah,
we really
yeah. 我们刚刚完成第111篇哈，111篇是调整者与灵魂嘛。所以说我们虽然很慢，但是我们非常的就是很稳定的往前。
We leave no stone unturned in our little group. We really dive deep into each sentence.
对，他就说我们没有留下一块石头没有翻过来的，我们就是在这个小组当中，我们就是争取就是比较透彻的解释每一句。
So when I joined just now, you had some questions about gravity. What were your questions?
Because according to traditional physics, gravity is going to be translated into something that means Newton's theory, right? The
Yes.
power
Yes.
that draw or
Yes.
pull everything to the ground.
Yes.
So Chinese that we translate accordingly, in that implication. But
Yes.
I assume that in Urantia book, gravity means something more general, more than the power, the tendency to pull any matter to the ground, So that's why we are thinking to use some other words for that translation. That's why we Shirley and I wanted you to clarify what gravity means in Urantia book, so we can try to find a more proper word to translate it.
Well, I think I think that it's a good word, because I think when they use the word, they know what it means in English, and in Chinese it's the same meaning. So I think they're using it intentionally to mean a great universal force, right? I mean, there's nothing more basic than gravity. It keeps us all on our planets, So it's throughout all the universes. There's gravity is everywhere. So I think that they do mean it as our same meaning, but I think there may be some additional meanings, like, in other words, but they still mean gravity, but they might be different kinds of gravity. Do you have an example? Why are you asking about it? Did you just read about it? Are we about to read about it?
Yeah, I'll translate first. 对，刚才就是Heidi 都听到我们正在讨论那个词 gravity 这个的翻译，因为我们目前翻成重力，是因为就是传统物理学根据那个牛顿的定律嘛，然后我们就是说这个词呢，就认为它是就是把那个万物都保持在跟那个地球一致，并且像星星这样的一种力量。那么Heidi 就是说这个 我就请海蒂就是解释一下，因为预染下之书用这个词用的比较多啊。然后呢，首先就是海蒂认为这个，是对，它是更广义的，更广义的一个就是宇宙的一种力量啊，是就是万物之间好像一种引力，对。Yes, it mentioned gravity in somewhere in this
Well,
preface.
okay, well, why don't we wait till we get to it? And then we'll talk
Oh
about
yeah,
it. Yeah.
OK。他就说我们就是读到那个地方的时候，然后再进一步的展开这个对这个概念的一种澄清。OK,
You know, there may be
great.
like a spiritual gravity or something, but we'll get to it. I'm sure we'll get to it and then we can, yeah, okay. So I'll start reading. So hello everyone, and I'll
OK, OK. Yeah, Shirley is going to read the Chinese part after you.
great. She has such a sweet voice. Okay. Paper 112, personality. Oh, this is so exciting. It's so much fun reading this book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Great
Paper
paper.
one.
This one is a great
Yeah.
paper. Yes.
This is really good stuff. Personality survival. I mean, it's so exciting. What could be more interesting than what happens to us after we die, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, I'll let you translate that.
对，就我们两个都同意这一篇是很棒的一篇。
Okay. The evolutionary planets are human origin, the initial worlds of the ascending mortal career. Urantia is your starting point. See, now this is where I'm making a notation here and then I'll start again. This is where it says definitively that we haven't lived other lives, right? It's saying it right here very clearly. So you can forget the whole, you were back as a mouse and then you were a slave in India and then you were the king of France. You can forget all that, okay?
它的第一句进化星球人类起源的天体，扬升凡人生。Oh, Heidi, usually you read the whole thing and then we read the whole Chinese and then you begin interpretation.
I know, but I wanted to interrupt myself. I'm going to start over because I wanted to, because we've talked so much about reincarnation and people are so concerned with it. So I wanted to point out that right here, what I'm going to read, before I read it, because English readers, English people might listen to a tape someday to say, if you're interested in reincarnation, take note what it's saying right here. Very important.
对，他就说这个凡人进化的起源的那个，就是我们，他就说我们不是从什么一个什么蚯蚓啊，变成老鼠啊，或者是怎么预染下之书，因为比较反对那个轮回啊、六道轮回啊，这些学说的，对他这又强调这一点。
Okay, so I'll start over. The evolutionary planets are the spheres of human origin, the initial worlds of the ascending mortal career. Urantia is your starting point. Here you and your divine thought adjuster are joined in temporary union. You have been endowed with a perfect guide. Therefore, if you will sincerely run the race of time and gain the final goal of faith, the reward of the ages shall be yours. You will be eternally united with your indwelling adjuster. Then will begin your real life, the ascending life, to which your present mortal state is but the vestibule. Then will begin your exalted and progressive mission as finaliters in the eternity which stretches out before you. And throughout all of these successive ages and stages of evolutionary growth, there is one part of you that remains absolutely unaltered, and that is personality, permanence in the presence of change. Shenli, you can read that.
OK，第112篇人格的续存。进化星球是人类起源的天体，是扬升凡人生涯的初始世界。预染下是你们的起点，在这里，你和你的神圣思想调整者暂时合一。你已经被赋予了一个完美的指导者，因此，如果你愿意真诚的，sorry，真诚地进行这场时间的赛跑，并达到信仰的最终目标，那么万事的奖励将属于你。你将永远与你的内住调整者结合，然后你将开始真正的生命，正在扬升的生命。你现在的凡人状态对他而言只是前听，然后你将作为终局者，开始在伸展到你面前的永恒中执行高尚和进步的使命，贯穿所有这些连续的进化成长的时代和阶段。有一部分的你是绝对不变的，那就是人格在变化中的永久性。OK， Heidi。
Thank you. There are 6 sections in this paper, in paper 112, and this paper is the last paper written by our solitary messenger. So I just want us all to know that after this, this is the papers on the thought adjusters, and this paper 112 on personality survival is the only papers in the whole book that are written by the solitary messenger. I think it's the same solitary messenger because it just says written by a solitary messenger. It doesn't give the, sometimes it gives the name of the personality, like the specific, but it says presented by a solitary messenger of Orvantin. But it says the exact same thing after each one, so I think it's the same one. So I want to just keep that in mind, that we're saying this is the last thing we're going to get from this solitary, our solitary messenger friend.
这112篇呢，人格的续存这一篇呢，也是由这个单独使者写的，因为我们都知道前面我们读的思想调整者的篇章也都是由这个单独使者写的。那么这一篇呢，一共有6个部分。
And once again, just everyone can keep in mind that the authors are carefully chosen for each paper, and I say that because after a while you can actually see, for instance, the next paper is about guardian seraphim, angels. So who do they pick? The chief of the angels on Urantia. It's very the last papers about Jesus are written by the midwayers that were present when Jesus was alive. So the authors are very carefully chosen for each paper.
再一次强调，就是阅览下之书不同的主题的那个作者呢，都是非常仔细的挑选的。比如说那下面一篇113那天使政府的那个篇章是由这个阅览下上面的天使长然后写作的。然后呢，关于耶稣的那第4部分呢，是一个中道者写的。这个中道者呢，中道受造物，就是这个中道者是在耶稣在世上的时候就存在的。
So this paper, Personality Survival, is still in many ways related to our thought adjuster because our thought adjuster stays with us when we go to the when we die and we go to the Marancha worlds. And this paper also discusses adjuster fusion, and that's why the solitary messenger has written about the thought adjusters and also personality survival.
对，这个一篇也是跟思想调整者的篇章是那个有联系的，因为当我们肉身死后去到宅下世界的时候，就是人格的融合，就是跟那个思想调整者融合这个完整的人格，所以那个人格还是人格的篇章跟思想调整者是相连的。
We read about solitary messengers. Remember before we read the aren't they Trinity origin beings? Do you remember, Ricky? They're not from the local universe, that's for sure. They're very, very high spirits.
对，那个单独使者是很高的这个灵界存有，他们绝对不是在地方宇宙诞生的，是不是三一神那系列的诞生的存有？I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're very, very high spirits. They're not local universe spirits. They weren't created, like the Melchizedeks are the teachers of the local universe. And, the Prince Caligastia was a Lenanendek. The system sovereigns and all these beings are the midwares, of course. They're all local universe beings. All the angels that are here, they're even the archangels, they're even Gabriel, they're local universe. But the divine counselor, some of the personalities that write the beginning parts of the book about the God and the Trinity and the super, and the solitary messenger, they're all Trinity origin beings, very, very high spirits.
I remember, Hedy, I remember the solitary messenger are created by infinite spirit. Right?
The infinite spirit, yeah.
Yes.
I'm
yes,
looking
I
at that now to try to, yeah. But it doesn't matter so much, but definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the infinite spirit is part of the Trinity. So do you remember the solitary messenger just being created just by the infinite spirit
Yes.
Oh,
It's a very special creature because they are not they don't work as pairs. They work alone. So the infinite spirit create a lot of the solitary messengers for like a special mission.
yeah, throughout the universes, yeah. That's one of the unique things. That's why they're called solitary. Well, that's one reason they're called solitary messengers, because remember we're reading that they a strange circuitry can't even be near other solitary messengers. They like short circuit or something. Remember that? It's
Yeah.
like they have this like electrical thing. It's
Yeah.
very strange.
对，那个他们两个讨论就是提到，的确就是这个单独使者呢，他是由无限之灵直接创造的，是无限之灵是三一神的一部分。他这种很高的一个属灵的存有，那么他往往被派到各个宇宙去执行一些特别的任务。他们对，就是往往是单独就可以就是执行很多的完成很多的使命那个，并且我们以前也读到，他们不能相互之间离得太近之后就会短路。 所以他们整个的从特征到使命都是单独的这样的一个特征，所以叫单独使者。
Yeah, I don't, sorry, are you done? I don't want to get too sidetracked now, but I just want to, you know, I've told you before that I just have such a special soft spot in my place for solitary messengers. I don't know why, but of all the beings, all the authors of the Urantia book, I'm just in love with solitary messengers.
对这个单独使者有特别的那个，就是在他的那个头脑当中给他有一个特别的那个，他就是非常钟爱这一类的灵性存有。
So I want to just give our thanks and appreciation for this solitary messenger writing these beautiful papers for us.
对，所以就非常感谢他给我们写这些的篇章。
And with that, I'll continue.
OK，继续。
While it would be presumptuous to attempt the definition of personality, it may prove helpful to recount some of the things which are known about. Oh, do you want me to talk about the first paragraph? It's pretty clear, but should I go over it? I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything tricky.
都是第一段，就是非常的清楚了。大家如果没有问题，就可以继续。
I'll just say I'll just go over the last sentence. It's very clear, but it's so important. It says, then, you know, this is our first life. We start here and from here we go on and then it says, and throughout all of these successive ages and stages of evolutionary growth. So we're going to be evolving. We just keep evolving. So just like mankind evolves on this planet, we personally evolve throughout eternity. We keep becoming higher and higher spirits, more godlike, you could say.
对，这个人格呢，就是这个养生的旅程，从这个凡人开始呢，就是那个从个人性方面，他也是在不断的进化，那么越来越变得像神。
So we keep changing and we keep evolving and we keep growing and we become totally different types of beings. We start as a mortal, then we become a Marancha being, then we become a spiritual being. And as a Marancha being, we go through all kinds of stages. First, we're a lower order Marancha being. Eventually, we're a higher order Marancha being. Then we're a lower stage spirit. Eventually, we're a higher stage spirit. So we're really becoming different kinds of beings. So there's a lot of change. And our environment around us is also changing. We're on different worlds, different planets, with different beings doing different assignments. But there's one thing that stays the same, that never changes, and that's our personality.
对，就是我们从这个我们进化、成长啊，经历不同的阶段，从凡人到灵智体到灵体。那么，对，灵智体呢，从比较低的灵智体到比较高的灵智体，然后呢，到比较低的纯灵体到比较高的纯灵体。那么在这整个的进化的过程当中，对，那个我们去不同的星球执行不同的任务，学不同的功课，但是有一点是一直不变的，就是我们的人格。
And you know, maybe like gravity, but definitely the Urantia book uses the word personality differently than we use it.
阅览下之书的这个人格跟我们平常用的人格是不一样的概念。
And they're about to explain in this next paragraph, kind of explain how they use it, what it means.
对，那么下面他会解释它是怎么这个概念是啥，什么意涵啊，什么意思的。
So in our world, we use personality to describe many, I would say, characteristics. Our character, we call and our character can change. Our sort of approach, our attitude, all these things can change. So we call all these things, we combine them together and we call them our personality. But the Urantia book is saying, no, those are all character traits. Those are all changing traits that you acquired from your family, from your past, from experiences. Those aren't really you. There's a core that's just you, and that core, no matter whether you're happy or sad, whether you suffer tragedies or great joy, that core doesn't ever change.
对，在我们的世界呢，我们人格呢，其实指的是一个人的特征，那么他跟这个世界互动的时候表现出来的一些的态度一些人格的倾向往往我们这些的人格倾向受这个外界环境家庭的影响。对，实际上这些的特征是在不断的变化的。对，但是呢，在这些不断的变化当中呢，有一个很核心的东西，它是不变的。那个，不管是你人生遭遇到什么它都是不变的。这个东西，其实，才是玉书当中那个人格。
My beloved friend and teacher, Steve Dreyer, who is now in the Marancha world, when I went online to see if I could find anything that he wrote or said, after I knew that he had passed on, and he did there. I found one thing, and that's a lecture that he gave at a Urantia conference on personality. So at some point I'll share that, you can share it in the chat group or translate it or something. And I know him so well. I'm not that well, but I know why he chose that subject, because that's one of the most confusing things in the book. It's very hard for us to understand what these authors mean by personality, because we use the word differently. So that's why he chose that subject, so he could try to help us understand.
对，那个曾经跟大家提过的，我的就是相当于我的导师和朋友叫 Steve Dreyer，非常非常热爱的导师。他就是阅览下之书，就是相当于他认为这个学习阅览下之书的导师。那么当我听到他去世的消息之后呢，我就非常的想找到他以前的一些的灵性资料，他演讲的灵性资料，他好像还真是找到一篇这个导师讲的就是关于人格的。那么我就想，我就是因为这个概念其实是世人容易混淆的一个概念，所以他理解为什么他选择这个主题来给演讲。
It's a really good lecture.
是非常好的一个演讲，你可以来分享给大家，到时候我找到的话。
Or talk, you could call it a talk.
对，是的 ，OK。
Now, the thing that I use in my mind to know what they mean by personality, this is very helpful. This helps me more than anything else is to think of it this way. Let's say you have a friend and they're in love, they got a new job, they're on top of the world, they're happy, they're excited, they're bubbly, they're maybe drinking too much coffee, they're full of energy, and they have a very bubbly, wonderful what we would call personality. Now you meet them 10 years later, their husband died, they lost their job, they were brutally attacked, horrible things happened to them. They're completely withdrawn, they're in their shell, they hardly look you in the eyes, they have PTSD, right? Do you know what PTSD is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have the same word for it in China,
Yes.
post-traumatic stress disorder. So
Yes.
they have, in our language, we would say they have a completely different personality. But the Urantia book, their use of the word would say, you'll still recognize them because they're still them. What makes them them, regardless of how they're acting? There's something about them that's you know who they are. Even if you're blind, you recognize their voice. Even if you're deaf, there's things about them that are familiar. Not their smells, that's a physical thing. But it's like that, the core part of their personality is what they call personality. The part that doesn't change. All the other things can change by environment and circumstances, but there's a part of you that's been the same since you were 1 year old. And you start seeing babies' personalities very, very early. They do things that's just them. They're different than their brothers and sisters. That's their personality because they haven't been influenced yet by too many things. Now, unless they're suffering trauma or something. Now, so that is what they mean by personality, the part of you that will always be recognizable, no matter how old you are, even if your appearance changes, even if your outward characteristics change.
Yeah. OK.他说，如果对你可能有一个朋友啊，他10年前，那你就是认识他啊，你知道他啊恋爱了，找到工作了，然后呢就是热爱咖啡了，非常富有活力了，然后好像在世界上混得还不错。然后10年以后呢，就是他关系也破裂了，离婚了，或者是被人就是被遭到就是生命的严重的打击，然后呢就是变得非常的萎缩，并且得了那种创伤后遗症的，就是人格完全。那么我们可能用我们的语言，我们认为他人格特征就好像完全的不一样了，但是呢，我们仍然可以认得出他们，即使我们变成盲人了，我们仍然认识他，或者他死了，那个还是我们能认出他。所以每一个人他那中心的部分实际上是不改变的。那小孩从小你就会看出来他是有他的特点的。那即使他还没有被环境怎么影响，他实际上小孩子从小他就是有他的人格特征的啊。不是不被外边就是这个外貌啊这些外部特征的不同而有什么改变的。这一部分不变的部分是让我们能够认出他是同一个人。
So now they're going to explain it a little bit to us.
他下面这几个10多个特征让我们对玉书就是对人格有进一步的阐述和描写。
number one, personality is that quality in reality which is bestowed by the universal Father himself or by the conjoint actor acting for the Father. And the conjoint actor is the infinite spirit.
省力
OK，
第一个，
人格前面尽管尝
上
试地人格是冒昧的，但回顾一些关于人格的已有知识可能会有所帮助。人格是有万有之父自己或代表天赋的共同行动者所赋予的那种实相特质。
So we're created. Everyone in our local universe is created by either Christ Michael or the infinite spirit or both of them together, or I think the infinite spirit and Gabriel create maybe the Melchizedek. I think he also is a creator. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm almost positive that Gabriel, who is their first, he's their first creation. And then after that, everyone else is created by a combination of those three. One of them or combination. I don't think he creates people by himself, but I think he can with, well, it doesn't matter, but let's just say, but we're all created by them, but our personalities are a gift of God.
就是地方宇宙的造物是由基督迈克尔那个创造的。那么像那些大天使啊，Gabriel 或者 Melchizedek 莫迪瑟德那些的造物是由无限之灵创造的。那么但是我们的人格呢是由天赋，就是三一神，他不是前面两个，然后这个人格他就说是天赋亲自赠予的，亲自创造的。
Now, all beings, there may be a few beings that don't have free will because they're like master energy manipulators or something, but there's very few, like powers organizers. I don't know what kind of personality they have, but basically, aside from a very small category, all the beings in the universe have personality. Everyone is a person. Even God is a person. And if you're a person, you have personality.
I don't get much about.
Okay. Let's start over. Okay. So the word person comes from personality.
对，这个人格呢是由人这个词来的嘛，对。那么就是只要是人，他就是有人格。
Is that the same in Chinese?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have corresponding words for person.
Yes, personality and person.
Yeah.
We don't think of them as related, but they're very related.
他们这两个词，这个从意义上来讲是相连的，有关系的。
In other words, you can't be a person unless you have personality, and you can't have personality without being a person. Or what's a person? It's an individual with personality, with an individual personality. That is what a person is. An individual is a person.
对，人呢就是一个有人格的个体，我们称这个人为人。对，那每一个人呢，他都有他的人格。那有被赋予人格的呢，我们就可以称为人。对。
So all beings in the entire, in all the 7 universes, even though many of them were created by their local universe sovereign and mother spirit, you know, billions of them, they all have the gift of person, no matter who they are, midwayers, angels, Lunanadics, Melchizedeks, they all have a gift from God, which is personality. So that makes personality a God origin. We all have something that's a direct gift from God, every one of us. So we're all tied directly to God. So God is our Father in that way.
对，那个7个超级宇宙的这些存有啊，包括这些地方宇宙的这些造物，由这个造物母灵啊，这造物，他们都有这个礼物，就是人格的礼物，就不管是中道者呀，那些天使啊，Melchizedek 就是系列造物啊。那么这些的造物都有这个从神来直接赐予的这个人格，所以我们实际上都跟这个创造之父这个天赋都是直接相连的。
Now, our personality makes us unique, but you know, animals have personalities in a way. They are unique. They're individuals also. No 2 animals are the same. They all have unique characteristics. So that's not necessarily what the Urantia book is talking about. They're talking about the part of us that can make decisions, that has free will, because animals don't have that. They act more like on instinct and on impulse, although they do think, but they don't make decisions the way we do.
当然呢，就是动物它每一个动物哈，似乎它也有它的独特的特点哈，非常的个体个别性。但是呢，这个就是跟人还是不太一样，因为我们人呢，这个是意志的造物，它可以做决定，而动物呢，它大部分来讲，它虽然也有一定程度的思想，但是呢，它基本上行动是靠它的直觉力、冲动来的。
It's very tricky because anyone who studies animals and who loves animals knows that there are times when animals do things that they're not just doing it for survival, or they actually do things that are noble, that are brave. They save the life of another animal. They take in, they mother an orphan from another species. So it's a little bit tricky to say that animals don't make decisions or don't have free will. But even when they do those things, they're not really deciding to do it. Something in them makes them do it. So it's a little different.
对。那当然呢，有一些的动物也表现出爱的这个特质，它们高尚的品质、勇敢的品质。那么，比如说，它们可以对救别的那个生物的性命啊，照顾别的生物的孤儿啦。然后，所以呢，有一点点好像复杂。然后我们是不是给他们认为他们有自由意志？但是实际上，即使他们有自由意志，这个自由意志也是就是一个外力，然后让他们这样做，使他们这样做的，也不能认为他们是有自由意志的。
And animals can be mean and they can be bullies also. The bullies usually don't do so well. But, there are nicer animals and meaner, one of my cats was just mean to my other cats. Another cat is very nice to all the other animals. You know, so they're not all the same in that way either.
他说有一些动物也是非常的卑鄙，然后啊也是欺负人的。那我这两只猫有一只就是比较好的，对别的动物都很好，另外一只猫就是倾向于要欺负人。
I'm just pointing this out because everything that the Urantia book teaches us, everything in life, it's not there's no real, it's not so there's only a few things that are black or white. There is good and evil, there is right and wrong, but there's most things sort of fade into each other and you become something by degrees. It's not like you're one thing or the other. You're more like you're more this way and you're more that way, and then you keep going in that direction. You become more and more, and you keep going in that direction. But it's like there's a fine line between humans and animals, and there's a fine line between right and wrong, and there's a fine line between a very, very spiritual human and there's a fine line between a midwayer and a cherubim. It's like, you know what I'm saying? There's like an overlap in so many things.
对，他就说那个实际上那个并不是什么事情都是非黑即白的，或者很明显的，你可以把它归入某一这个类别。有的时候经常这个过度，它是一个灰色的一个那个，只能说哎，这个更倾向于哪一边。然后呢，实际上没有很清楚的界限，像人和动物之间啊，或者是正确和错误之间啊，然后呢，
But that
人和那个，还有那个天使跟那些中道者之间啊，他们就是说灵性水平啊，还是什么，都是有一定的重叠的。
but our free will, our ability to decide who we want to be, that is human. Animals don't have that. That the sense of morality, it's innate. The Urantia book tells us that sense of right and wrong, it's innate. We naturally have it. That's part of our personality. Mankind, humans, all personalities have a sense of right and wrong. We have a sense of godly and ungodly.
对，那么我们人呢，它是区别于动物的，我们有这个自由意志，可以决定，可以做决定的。那么有这个道德的属性，道德的感受，那个对错呀，有一个先天的固有的一种判断，是我们这个人格的一部分。我们对这个神圣和非神圣的有感觉。
Animals don't believe in God and they don't need to believe in God. Humans really do need to believe in God because when you see societies that don't believe in God, they fall apart. Everything goes wrong. They don't survive. But animals do just fine without religion.
对，那个动物不需要信神，但是人要是不信神，那个社会就会分崩离析。
Because we have this gift from God, our personalities come from God, that somehow makes us need to keep moving towards God, to want it. That gives us this urge to know God, to be more like God. And animals don't have that.
对，因为我们的基本的人格是从天赋从神来的，那么，所以我们有一个倾向，就要向神去靠拢，那个会是更渴望更像神一样，但是动物没有这样的特征和渴望。
And there's no such thing in the universe as stagnation. You can stagnate for a little while, but there's momentum, and change is part of reality. So you have to be moving. So you have to be moving towards God or away from God. There's no such thing as just staying in one place, stationary or static. You can't do it for long because it's just impossible. If you stay still in this reality, it's like you're refusing to move forward. So that's the same as moving backwards.
嗯，对。所以在宇宙当中很少有停滞这回事，你可以停一段时间，但是呢，你就是会有一种天然的一种动力，就是要行动，要动作。那么，不向着神，那么就是远离神啊，没有静止的这种状态。你如果想要静止，那么实际上相对来讲，你就是拒绝往前。
It's like you can take a train ride and go to your destination and get off at your destination, and you can stay there for a while, and that's fine. You can even let a few trains, after you do what you have to do in that place, you can let a few you can go back to the station and just refuse to get on a few trains. That's okay. You're not ready. But you can't stay in that station forever. You have to get on a train and you have to go forward. Now, you can get on a train going the other direction and go backwards. And some people do that. And that's no good comes from that. You don't want to go backwards.
就像你是个旅人，你要坐火车，那么对，去到达你的目的地，你可能在一个站停下来，在那儿就是不上任何车啊，停一段，或者就是停一段之后，你再坐下到下一站的列车，哎，你还可以坐相反方向的车往回倒，但是你不可以在一个车站停好久，永远就不上车。
And some people, are much more willing to get on the next train and go to the next place than other people. And that's okay. But it's hard because when you're ready to get on the train to go to the next destination, you inevitably leave some people you love behind because they're just not ready to get on that train yet. And it's so sad when you make a change and it's a positive change, but it distances you from people you love. They can't go with you. It can be like a married couple, and they're both big drinkers, and one stops drinking. So they've got on the train and they're going to the next place, and you find they get divorced because they can't stay together anymore because one's gotten on the train and one's just staying in the station. But it's not the end of the world because eventually the other person will probably get on the train. You don't have to worry about them. They're just going at their own pace. But it is sad because when you take a step forward, you inevitably leave people you love behind.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah,
good analysis.
this is just me. This is just my experience.
Yeah, I think that's true. 对，那你就是说你那个，对啊，你就是做好准备了，你就是坐下一班车继续往前嘛，继续往你的目的地走嘛。那每一次你离开一个站的时候，你其实就可能不可避免的会把一些人落在后边，那些你热爱的人，对，他们可能并没有做好准备要坐下一班车离开。那对，有可能，比如说在这一站，你两个都是喝酒的人，但是有一个决定了不喝了，他要坐车走了。那么另外一个可能没有想要改变他的一种那个方式，那么他们就没有办法还待在一起了。嗯，对。但是离开你爱的人，继续往前，并不意味着是世界的终点。嗯我们其实没有必要为别人担心太多，因为每个人的节奏都不一样的。那么最终来讲，他们也会做好准备来坐车，所以我们不要为他们担心。
So as you're making all these changes, you're getting on all these trains, you're going to these new destinations. And oh, the other thing I forgot to mention was it's so sad to leave people you love behind when you know you have to move forward and they can't go with you. They can't accept it. But what you don't realize is there's always new friends waiting at the next station. When you take a step forward, you will always find new friends who are already there or who are on that train with you. That's the
对
good things. That's a wonderful part of it.
，Yeah。还有你虽然有可能你会很那个，把一些你爱的人落在后边，因为你要继续往前，但是你还有另外的一个方面呢，那个你新的朋友他会在下一站等着你，他们已经在那里等着你。
And as you're reaching all these new destinations and you're evolving and you're taking these trains and you're going forward, your soul is developing. Your character is gaining an experience. You're becoming wiser, but your personality is the same. You are who you are.
对，那么你这样的继续向前呢，你的灵魂得到发展，那个人格就是这个品格就是特征也都得到发展，你就是那个取得新的经验。那么在这个过程当中，你的人格是不变的，你还是你。
If you're a natural musician, a very musical person, a very visual person, a very creative person, if you're a very, very funny person, if you're a very mathematical person, a very logical person, those things are probably innate. They're probably connected to to the gift of personality that they're uniquely you. But they could be refined. You could become more integrated. You could improve the other areas, but you're probably always going to be inclined more of a mathematical person or more of an artist. That's my guess.
The last part I didn't get that.
I'm guessing because I don't think the book says it. I'm guessing that these deep-rooted parts of your personality that appear when you're very, very little, like you're artistic or you're analytical, you're
Yeah.
scientist, you have a scientific mind, or you're a very skilled musician, these things I think are part of I'm guessing that they are part of your personality, that you will always have that.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
对。他说你的一些天然的一些天赋哈，自然的就是对音乐啊，对这个视觉艺术啊， 那种的天赋啊，或者你就是性格非常的幽默呀，或者你就是数学方面很棒啦，或者是逻辑非常清晰啊，那这些有可能是你天然就带来的，是你的人格的一部分，他只是这样猜测。因为这些的禀赋有可能在你很小的时候就显露出来了。
But
那我有
how,
个问题，Sorry, I have a
Okay.
question, Heidi.
sure.
我有个问题，就是我们就是这个我们存在的这个种类，还有天使，还有别的存有，宇宙别的存有，这个品种是不是也是人格的一部分？就是它是不变的。
Oh yeah, Shunli's question that the order of our being, like if we
Yeah, the
are human
category.
being or if we are angel, is are the, you mean whether or not this category
The
will
category
remain the
of
same?
our being is part of the personality, as we are becoming an angel or other being in the universe.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yes.
This is my
Yes.
question.
Yes. But we will keep becoming different. We'll become different types of evolved mortals, but we'll never become a different, it's like it's almost like they're different species, it's like species, like angels will always be angels,
Yeah.
mortals will always be evolved spiritual mortals, like you never, your origin defines who you're created as but there are certain beings like that can like there are certain beings that like there's okay, take the angels for instance. They create seraphim and they create sanibim and cherubim, which are a lower order. So the seraphim will always be seraphim, but some cherubim and sanibim can become seraphim. So, but they're very closely related. So some beings can become other beings, but that's very rare. And they're still all in the angel family.
Yeah, they are still angel. The human being cannot become an angel.
No, but we
No.
can become very, very much like the angels because we're very closely related to the angels. Very.
So this is also decided in the personality.
Oh, okay, Ricky, I'll let you translate some of that before I say something that's really interesting.
对，沈丽的问题是，那么和天使哈，凡人和天使，就是他们进化来进化去的，会不会就互相那种交叉，有这种交叉？那么海底是说，这是不同的，嗯，对，这是不同的 species，就不同的人种，不是人种，这不同的种类。对，他就说那天使的话，有炽天使，就是比较大天使，还有那种小天使啊、副天使。那小天使、副天使，它到最后就会成长为这个炽天使，就是比较那个更先进的天使。他们都是天使家族的，天使种类的。对，
就是我的问题是，就是
人呢？
说这个，
那个人就是他沿着他的进化的路线，对他，不会，人就不会，到时候就成了天使族的，但是呢，那个还得承认，我们跟天使是比较，更近的，很近的这个造物种类，都是我们凡人跟天使是比较近的造物种类。
对，其实我的问题就是说这个存有的种类是不是也是人格决定的，就是属于人格的一部分？
Yeah, Shindi's question is that whether or not our being, whether or not we are going to evolve as a human being or angels are also part of the personality. So already determined by the personality itself.
I'm sorry, could you explain what you just said?
So whether or not this personality, when God destined us a certain personality, it's, oh yeah, because angels are created from, no, angels are not, their personality is not are angels' personality bestowed by the Godfather as well?
Yes, now this is the really interesting thing. All beings throughout the universe, every different, whether it's a solitary messenger or an angel or a divine counselor or a Melchizedek, they all have personality, individual personality bestowed by God. Now, the funny thing is, I don't believe that their personalities are very different than ours. We are completely different because of our environment. But our personality, the Urantia book says that well, let you translate that and then I'll say the next.
对，他就说这个宇宙就是上上下下的，那像包括那个单独使者啊，天使啊，当然也包括我们人哈，他的就这个人格的部分都是这个天赋给的啊，当然就是环境不同，他成长的样貌不同，但是就是人格，对，他继续有一些很有趣的点给我们展示。
Now, what's amazing is there are kindred spirits. Now, you've probably met some already. There's a certain amount of personality types, and there are kindred spirits. So there are personalities that are very much in the same, they're very similar to your personality, but the Urantia book says those can be other beings. Those can be any order of being. So we're going to meet people out in the universe. They're going to be angels or solitary messengers, and we're going to feel a kinship because their personality is the same type as ours.
对，那个其他的存有的也有可能那个人格类型跟我们是一个灵魂家族的。月亮下就是说我们有可能遇到别的存有啊，那个，对，就是感觉我们都是就是好像非常亲近的，大概都是同一个灵性家族的，所以同一个灵性家族有可能是不同的存有，不同的存有的表现形式。
So I don't, at the early stage, humans, they say that humans are, there's not, that angels share most of our emotions. They're very similar to us. So, but they just don't understand our animal fear and our anxiety. They don't have those emotions.
那天使呢，他跟人很近嘛，他就是能够分享共鸣我们大部分的情绪的体验，但是呢，他不了解，就是我们的焦虑啊、恐惧啊这些，他不太了解。对。
But if those are the only two they don't have, and they're very much like us, that means they have humor, they have joy, they have disappointment, they have sorrow, they have exhilaration. They're first of all, many of them are right here with us, but they're sharing. When we get excited, they get excited. When we get sad, they get sad. They share most, but this isn't really personality. I'm getting into emotions now, but just so you know how similar they are to us.
对，这就意味着，比如说那天使啊，他也有幽默感呐、他也可以感到悲伤啦、失望啦，或者非常的狂喜啦。所以我们， 那个觉得哎呀非常的激动人心的时候，他们也会这样感到悲伤，他们会感到悲伤，就是他们可以分享很多的人格特质。
They say that our planet, this is a side thing. I'm going off on a little tangent here, but they say that everything's gone so wrong on our planet that we're almost like retarded when it comes to the arts and music and philosophy, all these things. We've been very, very stagnated, and left behind. We're way behind where we should be. Our progress has been retarded by the rebellion. But the Urantia book says that I think I said this once before, the one thing that Urantians are known for is their humor. Somehow we managed to have a good sense of humor. Very good. We're known for it. We're famous for it.
对，我们就是我们星球哈，是一个背叛的星球，就是很多事情就是不太正常的，就是也是发展延迟的，像在艺术啊、音乐啊、哲学啊这些方面都是有一些停滞，一些的落后，进展缓慢，但是好像有一点就是，比较的比较好的。就是我们的幽默感在地方宇宙啊当中是非常的有名的。
Many, there's a lot of entertainers, artists and entertainers on the Morancha worlds and in all the worlds. There's a lot of playtime and a lot of people entertaining other people. And a lot of the humorists on the Morancha worlds are from Urantia.
对，他说在灵智性世界，因为有很多的大家一起玩耍的娱乐的时间哈，那很多的就是那个幽默家，就是带来欢笑的这些幽默家，他们是来自我们的星球。
And my personal belief is that it's been so hard here and it's been such a struggle that it's developed our humor, because we have the expression, I had to laugh or else I would cry. And that many of us chose to laugh rather than cry when we look around us.
这有可能就是因为那个我们，对，我们在一个很困难的挑战的环境当中，对发展出来的特质。因为有句话说，我必须要笑，否则的话我会哭。这种方式，这种境况下培养出来的一种人格特质的一个表达。
It seems to me that the worse things are, the more you need to laugh about them.
What
It
you say?
it seems to me
嗯。
that the worse things are, the more you need to laugh about them.
对，这个对他来说，这个情情境况越差呢，你越需要把它，你要需要以微笑对待。
So it's like when everything's smooth and perfect, you can make a joke and it's great, but you don't need to make jokes. You're just so happy anyway. But when things are really rough and you make jokes, it can really help. It can really uplift your spirits. It can really take.
对，当这个事情进展很顺利啊、完美啊，你开不开玩笑都无所谓。但是如果是很困难的情境啊，遇到失败了，那你要开玩笑的话，你就一下子就会把你的精神提高起来，事情就对你的 对，伤害就没有那么大了，大概这个意思。
Many great comedians are actually very sad and tragic people. Not all of them, but many.
对，他就说很多的那种就是像比较小丑类的，就是喜剧演员，他们实际上是非常的生活经历是非常的创伤的。
So I have such a good sense of humor is because it's been so hard here. That's my theory.
他这是他的理论，这是因为在我们有点向上，因为很多事情都不是我们的很理想的状况，所以发展出我们这幽默的这个乐观主义、乐观派、乐天派的这种品质。
So personality doesn't seem to have anything to do with what type of being you are.
这人格跟你的这个存有的类型是没有关系的。
It may be it may be the thing that ties us all together and makes us all one big family, because we all have personalities that come from God that are the same regardless of what kind of being we are.
对，因为都是从神那个天赋那里来的，也许这样就是这样一个共同点，共同的起源是我们都就是，本质上都是来自于一个大的家庭。
Now we have to be very careful, because that doesn't mean that we're the same types of beings. We're going to meet beings that are so different than we are that we can't even believe it. Most
对
likely, I'm just guessing.
对，对，我们将来有可能遇到一些我们就是非常其他的不同的种类的存有。对。
So, but somewhere inside, their personality is very similar. Not that they're similar in terms of each personality is unique, but there's only so many types of personality. There's not an infinite type. There's not an infinite number of types of personalities. There's only so many types. I don't think the book says how many types there are. There might be 12, there might be 30, but there's not thousands of types of personalities. So you have a type. Actually, there's these, we have these Myers-Briggs tests. We have these tests here that test your personality types on here on your answer. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, but that's just human knowledge. That there may be a greater
I think
category, but
I think
in terms of diversity, I don't think we have fine lines. There should be many subtype. So that defines our diversity of personality.
yeah, but I think there's something. I think those tests really do measure pretty much the same kind of personality that the Urantia book's talking about. Like, you're either more intuitive or you're more analytical. You're either
you mean MBTI test?
Yeah, I think that those really, I think that they're, hey, we do it, so we know it's very limited. We know it's, but I think that those when you get your personality tested in that way, I think that's measuring your core personality, what kind of personality you have. I think that probably doesn't change too much.
对，他就提到，那么我们人格的独特性，但是呢，人格的种类就是特质，按它的特质的种类有可能是 还是可以分类的。那比如说有些人比较直觉性，有的人比较的分析逻辑脑。对，他就提到有人格的测试在我们人间。对，我就认为这个，这些大的类型就是底下肯定就是每一个也有重叠啊，也有那个，倒是说不是说那么严格的区分。我在这一点上我不认为这是人格有特别的，你可以把自己定义到一个特别的类型当中。有可能就是你有各种都可以重叠的，你就是成分不同而已。
But anyway, the last thing I'll say before I read about personality is that it's just fascinating to know that we're going to meet kindred spirits. So we'll meet another being, completely different type of being, and we'll immediately feel a connection and a rapport with them, and we'll know that, hey, I feel a connection. We think alike. Something about us is very much alike.
对，这就有点灵魂家族的概念。对，不同的存有有可能是属于同一个人格的家族，那么你会碰到以后你在养成过程当中碰到其他的存有，可能马上就会觉得有一种联系。
Okay, so now I'll read, let's see, so I read okay, number 2. Personality may be bestowed upon any living energy system, which includes mind or spirit.
嗯
Shelley, yeah.
2可以将它赋予任何包含心智或灵性的有生命的能量系统。OK， Heidi。
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear, right, Ricky?
Yeah.
Okay, number 3. It is not wholly subject to the fetters of antecedent causation. It is relatively I'm going to read 3 and 4 because sometimes the next one helps explain so I'm going to read 3 and 4. Number 3, it is not wholly subject to the fetters of antecedent causation. It is relatively creative or co-creative. And number 4, when bestowed upon evolutionary material creatures, it causes spirit to strive for the mastery of energy matter through the mediation of mind. Okay, Shanley, read those and then I'll go through.
OK，第三，它不完全受制于先前因果的枷锁，它是相对有创造力或共同创造力的。4，在将它赋予进化的物质受造物时，它使灵性通过心智这个媒介去努力掌握能量物质。OK。
Okay, so number 3, it is not wholly subject to the fetters of antecedent causation. It is relatively creative or co-creative. I think what that means is it is not wholly subject to the fetters of antecedent causation. Antecedent, it comes before a causation. So I think and then it says it is relatively creative or co-creative. So even though personality is changeless, you are who you are, that doesn't mean you aren't creative. You have free will. You're you can use your personality to change who you are, to change things about yourself. You'll always be who you are. You'll always be recognizable as Shenley, as Heidi, as Ricky. That's not going to change. But you can create. It's sort of like it's like you can take an old house and renovate it. It'll still be the same house, but it can be very, very different. So I think that's what they're talking about. They're saying it's not really stuck in anything. It has a lot of creativity. Personality is endowed with free will and creativity. I think that's what that is saying.
哦，OK，对，它就是第三个特点哈，不完全受制于先前因果的枷锁，相对有创造力或共同创造力的。就是他被赋予了这个人格之后呢，这个人格他有一定的自由，可以改变他的用这个创造力来进行一些的改变，就像一个房子，你可以把这房子你就是进行更新嘛，对吧？进行这个进行重新的创造，这个是这种的创造力是就是跟着人格啊就是自由意志，就是给予这个人格的，可以做这样的重新创造的工作。
But it says it is not wholly subject to the fetters of antecedent causation. So that means it is somewhat subject. And then it says it is relatively creative or co-creative. So that means I think this is a very tricky sentence, but I think what it's saying is, on the one hand, it is who it is. That's not going to change. But even though it is who it is, there's a certain amount of creativity involved in everyone's personality. So there's like some wiggle room. There's some, you
Yeah.
can develop, I think you can develop your personality. You can augment it to an extent. You're a little bit defined by antecedent causation because you're given this personality and that you cannot change. But there's some change allowed within it. But they say it is relatively creative or co-creative. So I think when they say co-creative, well, who are you co-creating with? Well, that would be God. That would be your thought adjuster. So in other words, God gives you a personality. It will never change, but with God, you can maybe develop it a little bit.
Yeah. 对，它这个用词，我们要看到它的就是内涵的意思。第一句是 not wholly，就是它不完全受制于。第二句是相对的有创造力，那就是说我们在一定程度上是受制于先天因果，然后呢，在一定的这个大的框架底下呢，它还是有它的就是那个余地的发展的余地的。就是所以这两者，那么跟谁一起创造，当然是跟神一起创造的，啊，神作为这个思想调整者，他在我们里边，他是跟我们一起来进行这个创造的工作。
So now the next one, when bestowed upon, we already read this, when bestowed upon evolutionary material creatures, that's us, it causes spirit that's our thought adjusters, to strive of energy matter through the mediation of mind. Okay, so what that's saying is it's our personality. It's kind of like what I was talking about, the difference between people and animals. It's our personality that causes us to strive for the mastery of energy matter. And we use our mind to do that. So it causes spirit to strive. So our personality is what makes us want to connect with our thought adjuster and strive to be more than just a mortal animal being. That's what it's saying. It's our personality. That's the driving force of that need to know God and to be like God and to keep evolving. That's what I think it's saying.
只是说这个被赋予的这个人格呢，相当于是一个内在的驱动力，让我们有这种动力去像神一样。
It's like because it comes from God, I believe it pulls us towards God.
对，因为它是从神来的嘛，自然而然就是把我们整个的存在向着神的方向去拉。
You know, it's like these people with a terrible, terrible father. Maybe they didn't know their father abandoned them. Maybe they were adopted. They never even met their father made no contact ever, made no attempt to get to know them. Maybe their father abused them, and yet there's something deep inside them that wants to love that father and be loved by that father, that wants to connect, that wants him to apologize, that wants to fix it. And that's an innate longing that has no logical reason other than that's your father. You came from that person. It's absolutely universal. I think we have that same thing towards God the Father, who gave us our personality. There's something innately in us. We want to get to know him, we want to love him, and we want him to love us.
对，就像比如说一个孩子从小就是那个被父母遗弃了，那个他就是被领养的，从来也没有见过他的亲生父亲，但是自然这个人他就是对这个没有见过面的父亲，他有一种天然的就是对他的爱渴慕和也希望自己的亲生父亲爱他。对，就像我们跟天赋的一种关系，它赋予我们人格，对我们自然而然有的一种倾向，要寻求他、爱他和被他所爱。
The parent-child relationship is one of the very, very strongest relationships in the universe. We know that.
对，父母跟子女的关系是宇宙当中最强的关系纽带之一。
The one who gives you life, you feel tied to forever and ever and ever. And you feel like you're a part of them and they're a part of you because you are.
对，给你生命的，那么你跟他们永远的有一种连结，因为他们是你的一部分，你是他们的一部分。
And if you have a bad relationship with your mother or your father that can't be resolved, then the way to heal that horrible hole in your life, that horrible tragedy, that missing piece, is to realize that you do have a mother and you do have a father. It's God. God is your father. And he loves you more than your father ever could love you, because God loves more than anyone can love. And once you realize that, it really helped. It helped me. I'm talking about myself here too, and mainly. And I know from experience, I should say, that the one thing that can heal when you can't resolve your relationship with your own father, your earthly father, you can say, well, that's sad, and I'll do that on the next world. Hopefully my father will be waiting for me on the next world. I think he is. And we'll work that out later. But for now, I do have a father. I have the most loving father in all of eternity, in all the universes, in all reality, and that's God.
对， 对，当我们跟父母的关系不好哈，很难去修复，那么就是这种那个悲剧哈，就是其实很难愈合的一种悲剧。但是如果你意识到你的真正的源头，你的天赋是热爱你的，那么这个是对我们来说是一个得到疗愈的一个很重要的一个点。那么跟父母的关系的修复也可以等到下一个世界啊，下一期生命，那么对再去完成，因为对。但是我们的天赋呢，是我们的永恒的，在各个实相当中都是存在的。对，就是他，感觉到他的爱跟他的一种连结，是我们疗愈的基础。
So before I move on, I just want to say to whoever is listening that any hole in your heart, someone died that you loved, someone didn't love you that you loved, someone hurt you, someone betrayed you, someone couldn't love you enough, any holes that you have in your heart, any wounds that you have can be healed if you allow yourself to feel the love of God, because it's so powerful. It's so healing. And Jesus too. He's your father too. He's your local father. God's like your grandfather in some ways, but he is your father when it comes to personality. Jesus is your father when it comes to everything else. And the thing is, if you allow yourself, the love is there. You don't have to ask for it. It's there. But if you allow yourself to feel it and to feel worthy of it, so you can feel it, then you can start to heal all those wounds and all those holes in your heart.
对，如果你在这个人世间，你有被欺骗、被伤害的经历，你身上有一些的伤疤、伤痕，你就是如果你允许你自己感受到神的爱，那当然就是天赋嘛，是我们人格的赋予者，但是，耶稣呢，是我们地方宇宙的父啊，造我们的父，那么就这些的这个源头的爱始终在那里。你就是允许你自己跟这样的爱，连结，你就是感受到你自己是值得被爱的，那么这个是你疗愈的一个根本。
So this one, number 4, says when bestowed upon evolutionary material creatures. So when we have when we get the personality, which I think we get, maybe even before we're born. Certainly the moment we're born, we already have it. I don't know when they give it to us, doesn't say, but probably even before we're born. But whenever we get it, it doesn't say it might cause or it can cause. It says it causes spirit to strive for the mastery of energy matter. So that there's no and ifs or buts. Our personality is working with our spirit to strive for the mastery of energy matter. So what does that mean? What's the mastery of energy matter? Well, that's the material world. And what is mastering it? It's handling it. It's rising above it. It's succeeding with it. It's being the master of it instead of being a victim of it or letting it master you. You see, some people don't like the law of attraction. They think it's too material or too this, too that. The law of attraction, there's different ways of looking at the law of attraction. If you look at it in a spiritual way, that's what they're talking about. They're saying you create your world. You can, by mastering the material physics, and you do that by working with the spirit. But this is saying you're striving to do that. The minute you have personality, something in you is striving to do that.
这个人格什么时候赋予你？是不是在你有可能在你出生之前你就已经有了， 那么那个人格加上那个灵性的力量，你就可以掌管、掌握、运用，这个能量物质系统，就是运作这个系统。那么你是这个系统的主人，不是牺牲品。有些人认为吸引力法则呢太物质主义了，但是呢，如果你从更属灵的角度去看的话，你就是创造你自己的世界，这个是没错的，因为你赋予这人格，可以运用灵性的力量来这样做。
So I just want to take a moment here to explain that I talk about the law of attraction a lot. The Urantia book never mentions it. The Bible never mentions it. So I want to be very clear that a lot of people who are into big believers in the law of attraction are not spiritual people, and they're not striving to know God, and they're not on the right path as far as I'm concerned. So it's almost like there's two different laws of attraction. There's the one that's like, oh, you do affirmations and I can control everything and I can, that's like the deceptive path. You may end up with the car and the husband or wife, and you may end up with the job on Wall Street and the yacht, because you convince yourself that you're in control of everything, and you can bet you can make things work for you going down that road. That is not what I'm talking about by the law of attraction. I'm talking about something spiritual.
对，那就是关于那个吸引力法则呢，实际上，月亮下之书啊，圣经啊，你从来就是不提这个，就是他知道有很多相信吸引力法则的人，其实他们并不是很属灵，也没有兴趣啊，那个要了解神，所以就是有两种的不同的吸引力法则，那么。有一些人他就是相信这个，用吸引力法则呢，可以吸引来就是豪车呀，呃那个帅哥美女来跟你约会啦，或者是好的工作呀，华尔街挣大钱呢，但是我认为的吸引力法则是完全另外的一个。
So the Bible mentions the many things that we now call the law of attraction. It doesn't call it that. It's the same thing, just like the Urantia book. We've seen many instances already where Ricky, you and I both go, oh, that's the law of attraction. So that's what I'm talking about. It's when we're talking about mastering the material and energy matter. We're talking about getting rid of anxiety and fear. We're talking about having faith. We're talking about frequency, getting on a higher frequency. We're talking about having an angel's mind who doesn't understand fear and anxiety instead of an animal mind who is full of fear and anxiety. Have you ever looked at a deer? They're frightened if a bee comes near them, they'll jump and run. Well, so a lot of humans will too. So that's what I'm talking about. That maybe I shouldn't even call it that, because a lot of people, a lot of religious and spiritual people get very upset. They think the law of attraction is an evil satanic thing. And I'm saying right now, yes, it can be, but that's not the way I'm talking about it. It can also be a very godly spiritual thing.
对，那吸引力法则呢，可以，其实它的本质就是学习怎么样那个掌控这个物质界的物质能量啊，这个系统。那么，当然你可以用它来这个克服你那些的动物性的恐惧啊，然后培养你的信仰，提高频率。 有那个拥有一个天使般的头脑。那当然你，有的人认为那个吸引力法则是邪恶的，是撒旦的。那么，但是我指的是另外的一个更属灵的一个方面。
So when we read about the 7 psychic circles, the first circle, which is the last circle, it's so funny that they do it backwards, but the first circle, which is the last circle we get to, we start at the 7th and we work our way to the first. If we make it to the first circle, the Urantia book says, at that point, we have the potential for prosperity. And what that means is we are now so aligned with our thought adjuster. So we've balanced our emotions and our psychology and our minds and our spirit and our souls. So now we're no longer getting in our own way. So if we as we progress through the first psychic circle, then we can be very prosperous because nothing's getting in the way, nothing's preventing it. There's plenty in the universe. God didn't design us to be hungry and starving and homeless. There's enough houses, there's enough food for everyone. So that's the law of attraction that I'm talking about. It says you then have potential for prosperity. So it's like you just have to realize it. If you're not prosperous by the time you're in your first circle, then you're still getting in your way a little bit. That's the law of attraction. That's not someone looking in the mirror every day and saying, I have a yacht, I have a yacht, I have a yacht, I have a yacht. I have a beautiful girlfriend. I have a beautiful girlfriend. That's not the same thing.
他又提到7个心灵圆圈哈，当我们达到第一个心灵圆圈，也就是最后一个最高的那个圆圈的时候，那个预言家就是说我们有就是丰盛的潜力，达到取得丰盛的潜力。那么实际上就是在这最后一个圆圈的时候，我们跟向调整者更加的一致。有就是情绪方面呢，情绪啊、心理啊、头脑啊、灵性都各个方面非常的平衡，都获得了很好的进展。这样的话呢，就没有什么东西能够阻挡我们继续前进和进步。这个跟你这个不了解这个灵性的法则，天天对着镜子说我要有一只船，我要有一只船，我要有一个漂亮的女朋友，有一个漂亮的女朋友，这种的只是为了显化物质界的一个什么东西，那个完全是两回事。
We can talk about it a little, how you attract the same frequencies you put out. That just absolutely seems to be true, but we can talk about that in another session more.
对，有句话说，你总是吸引跟你频率相当的人事物到你的生活当中。当然，这个是另外的那个，我们以后其他的时间可以去讨论。
Okay, number 5. Personality, while devoid of identity, can unify the identity of any living energy system. Shenley.
人格虽然没有身份，但它可以统一任何有生命的能量系统的身份。
Okay, that I understand that because it explains it in a lot of other places in the book. So what that means is that we as individuals, regardless of whatever kind of creature you are, if you're an angel, a midway, or an Adam and Eve, a material son and daughter, whatever you are, you're a composite. Your identity is made up of different components. For instance, let's take us. We have our body, which is the house. Everything, it's the structure that contains all of our parts. And then we have our, well, I should let you translate before I go on.
对这个人格哈，身份就是人格是一个个体嘛，那这个我们每个人呢，就是实际上就是由不同的部分构成的那个是，比如说我们的肉体就像一个房子。
So when they say, when they talk about identity, they mean the whole package. You don't have personality just floating around in the air by themselves. They're always associated with the package, with an identity. There's
这个
other
identity
parts.
这个是一个整个的一个包装啊。当我们说到人格的时候，它不是在空中漫天飞的这么一个东西，它一定要跟一个
So
身份连接的。
sorry. So each one
人
of
格
us.
虽然没有身份啊，you are talking about personality and identity, the association between personality and identity.
Each one of us has an identity, and our personality is one component of our identity. Our soul is one component. Our mind is one component. Our body is one component.
对，他就说这个人格是这个身份的一部分，那我们灵魂是我们的一部分，是这个身份的一部分，头脑啊、身体啊都是这个身份的一部分，这个人格也是他的一部分。
So personality exists by itself, but God does not bestow personality just randomly. You can't be floating around in the air without the rest of your components. Personality is always bestowed on an energy system. You need some kind of package to put the personality in, to associate, and then the personality ties all those components together.
你这个人格系统不是就好像随机的就赋予任何的这个能量系统，就是这个能量系统，就是这人格就赋予给这个 package 怎么翻呢 ？package 就是这个系统，就像的成分嘛，那这个人格去了是把这个包裹的不同的部分给它联系起来。
You could say vehicle if you want, or container. You could say container or vehicle or package.
对，他就说这个包裹可以说它是一个车辆啊，载体啊，对，或者是一个容器啊，都这样的一个概念。
So when I think of Ricky, I don't just think of your changeless personality. I think of your body, your physical appearance. I think of your mind. I think of your emotions. I think of your spirit. I think of your soul. They're all you. They're all part of your identity. And when you go to the Marancha world, they're all going to go with you, but you're going to exchange your mind for a Marancha mind and your soul, and you're going to exchange your body for Marancha body. So these other things, even though they're part of you now, they're going to change. but your soul's not going to change, and your thought and gesture is not going to change, and your personality is not going to change. But you always will have a vehicle. You'll always have a package. You'll always have some kind of body for these things to contain these components.
Yeah. 对，那个，对，你看，就比如说我有这个，我有人格，我有这个，外表的特征，头脑啊，情绪啊，有灵性啊，有灵魂了。当我们下一个世界的时候，我们的心智就是那种灵魂取代了心智。然后呢，我们的物质体呢就变成了灵智体，但是呢，思想调整者就跟随我们的思想调整者，这个是不变的。然后我们的人格也是不变的，就是有变的部分，这个包裹有变的部分，有不变的部分。不变的部分是思想调整者和人格。
So no two
还有一个不变的是灵魂，就是灵魂你是承继下来的，从你在肉身的时候发展，一直到这个灵智性的时候，变成了你的取代了你的头脑，取代了你的心智。对，灵魂也是不变的，这个定义了你的新的那个身份，在灵智体的时候的身份。
So no one has the same fingerprints. No one in all the vast universe, no other beings anywhere have your fingerprints. No one has your DNA. So those are uniquely you, but those are the things that can change. The personality doesn't change, but they are you. They are part of your identity. You need that. You need a vehicle to be in. To have an identity.
对，你的指纹，这全世界是独一无二的，你的 DNA 整个的这个也是非常独特的，这些都是你独有的。你的人格也是定义你的身份的一个重要的一个部分。
And the book says that on this world, the way we look is often reflective partially to a greater or lesser extent of our personality. The way someone looks on this planet often, not always, but often reflects their personality to an extent. But on the Maranja world, they give you a body, a Maranja body, that much more reflects your personality. They design it to in accordance to be the physical manifestation of your personality.
那在这个世界呢，我们的这个外貌呢，不同程度的反映我们的人格。在灵智体在下世界的时候，我们的外貌更多的反映我们的人格。
So, let's see what it says. So personality, while devoid of identity. So the personality that they say while devoid of identity, it doesn't have an identity by itself, but it becomes part of it unifies the identity of any living energy system. Without personality, your soul, your spirit, your mind, your body wouldn't be unified. Personality is like the glue that holds it all together.
对，这个地方翻译神秘，你要做一个记号，这个地方翻译有问题哈。就是这个人格，它是就是相当于统一任何有生命的能量系统的身份，就是说统一这个身份的，并不是说人格本身没有身份，就是它只是说人格如果人格统一。它统一身份的各个不同的组成部分。
Okay, number 6. It discloses only qualitative response to the personality circuit in contradistinction to the 3 energies which show both qualitative and quantitative, oh, here we are with gravity, response to gravity. I'm going to read that again out loud. It discloses only qualitative response to the personality circuit in contradistinction to the 3 energies which show both qualitative and quantitative response to gravity. Okay,
Yeah,
Shenli,
share the gravity.
yes, I can see you, Shenli, you can read that while I'm thinking about it.
OK， 6，它只显示对人格回路的定性响应，与对重力表现出定性和定量响应的那3种能量截然不同。
Okay, yeah, that's a I find this to be very, very tricky sentence. So I don't know how far I can go with it, but I'll give it a shot. This part I do kind of understand. The first part, personality discloses only qualitative response to the personality circuit. Let's just stop there. So that means, you know, I think we have the physical body responds to physical gravity, and then we have the mind circuits. So our minds are somehow connected to these mind circuits. Now it's talking about a personality circuit. So there must be another energy system that is a personality circuit. Maybe it's how we connect to God through our personality. I don't know what the personality circuit is, but I do know that it's saying that our personality only responds to that circuit in a qualitative way. So that's just quality, not quantity. So that's more like not in a physical way, just in a spiritual way, you know, a quality, a depth or a realness, you know, a better way or a worse way. That's quality is something that has value. So it can respond to this circuit probably more in a more valuable way, or maybe less. Maybe we can choose not to. I don't know. But that's the first part. It's not a physical response. Like gravity is like a quantity, a material quantity. So it's not quantitative. It's I would say more of a spiritual type of response.
对，那就是说，你看我们肉身肉体的，那么对这个引力、物质引力做反应，这个是一个数量级别的定性定量的这么一个特征，一个回路。头脑呢有头脑的回路，人格呢有人格的回路，人格这个系统它的能量系统的回路，它这个地方就是说，它只对人格回路的定性响应，就是说它这个定性的反应就是更是属灵层次的，不是物质层次的。
So they're saying that this personality responds to the personality circuit in a spiritual quality way, as opposed to the 3 energies which show both qualitative and quantitative response to gravity. Okay, you got me here. Okay, I don't know what 3 energies they're talking about, and I don't know if they're talking about physical gravity. This sentence makes me think it was written for future age when we'll know what three energies they're talking about or what kind of gravity they're talking about, because I don't have any idea.
啊，对，海蒂承认他也不知道他这个地方指的那个定性和对吸引力表现出定性和定量响应的那三种能量，那是哪三种能量？他说未来时代的人有可能已经知道是那三种能量是指的什么，他说他也不知道这个地方是什么。
The only thing I can say is that hopefully somewhere in the beginning of the book, they talked about all these the three energies and the different kinds of gravities, or the one kind of gravity and how these energies respond to it. So when later on, when we read the beginning of the book, hopefully we can come back to this. Remember, personality survival, number 6, and we can understand it.
对，他有可能我们读一书前面的时候，也许他有讲到，那么到时候我们读到的时候，也可以能够回忆起来，我们读这一篇人格续存的时候，前言第6节提到这三种能量。
There are definitely papers in the beginning of the book that are about all kinds of energies and circuits and stuff. So hopefully the answer lies in those papers.
对，这本书前面就是会有阐述，对能量啊、回路啊这些的有阐述，对，应该有提到。
Sorry, everyone.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I also, I think the same way that, maybe the
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's like way over my pay grade. Okay. Way above my pay grade.
That's okay.
Okay, so number 7. This is an easy one. Makes up for number 6. And number 8. I'll read 7 and 8 because they're both easy. Personality, number 7. Personality is changeless in the presence of change. And number 8. It can make a gift to God. Dedication of the free will to the doing of the will of God. Shen Li.
即人格在变化中保持不变，它可以向神献礼，奉献自由意志去履行神的旨意。
So yeah. So these are really basic. We've already talked about how everything is changing all around us, even our bodies and our minds are changing and our soul is developing, but the personality, the core, I'm just going to say the core of our personality stays the same. So that's number 7.
对，他就说，虽然我们物质啊、心智啊什么的，对其他的特征会变，但是人格在这些变化当中是保持不变的，所以我们是可以根据人格来辨别每个个体。
And then number 8, and now this is a very wonderful number item. Personality can make a gift to God. This is something it can do. Dedication of the free will to the doing of the will of God. So we talk about this all the time because the book talks about this all the time. We can decide to do God's will, but it is our will that makes that decision. It can't happen. The thought adjuster can't force us. No one can convince us. The soul can't influence us. That has to be a free will choice. And we use our personality to make free will choices. That's a prerogative. Only our personality can make that decision. So when we do that, what they're saying is very beautiful. They're saying it's a gift to God. When we say, God, it is my will to do your will. from now on, I just want to do your will. I'm tired of fighting you. I'm tired of being stupid. I'm tired of making mistakes. Please let me just do your will, however you want to say it. But they're saying when you do that, you're giving God a gift. You're saying, here you go. My will is now honoring your will. It's a gift. That's beautiful to think of it that way.
对，这个是第8个特点，是我们一直在讲的，就是把那个奉献自由意志去履行神的旨意，这个是只有我们自己能决定这样做的，没有外力可以强迫我们，或者是说服我们去做的，这个是人格能够做出的自由意志的决定，是人格的一个特权啊。这样就是对神说我放下自己的主张，放下自己那个犯错误，不停的犯错误，这样，我就是那个我的旨意，我的意愿就是执行你的意志。
If I was a black preacher in the South, in a church, this is the way I would say it. I would say, Lord, I'm so tired of fighting you. Lord, I'm so tired of doing things my way. Lord, help me do things your way. I'm tired of falling on my face. I'm tired of hurting people. I'm tired of being a fool. Lord, please guide me. Please save me. Please lead me to the righteous path. That's how I'd say it.
那他这模仿那些虔诚的基督徒，他有时候就会这样很狂热的去做这样的一种表白，说主啊，我就是跟你打仗，我已经疲乏了，我就是不再坚持我的道路，不再坚持这种的，就是做傻子了，我要遵从你的指导，走这种异路。他是模仿一个虔诚狂热基督徒的一个口吻，做这样一个告白。
And if I was an Englishman, an upper class Englishman, I would say it this way. And I won't do any more. This will be my only other.
OK，他说如果他是一
Only
个
two. If I were an upper class
白人，
British man, I would say, God,
英国绅士白人会这么说。
I would say, God, you know, I've been doing things my way, and it's been a bit of a bumpy road. It hasn't really gone so smooth. Why don't we do things your way from now on? How about that? How does that sound?
这个英国绅士就说神啊，这个我一直坚持走我的路，但是呢，好像比较崎岖坎坷，不是那么顺利，要不然我遵从你的教导，走你让我走的路。
It's saying the same thing. It's just the way two different people would say it.
对，就是表达的同一个意思，但是呢，好像方式这个表达的这个不大一样，yeah。
This is personality.
It's definitely culture. It's definitely culture.
他就说反映这个文化影响。
And I'm sure an Italian would have their own way of saying it, and so would a Chinese person.
所以一个意大利人或者一个中国人他可能都表达都不一样。Yeah, that's funny.
So number
9.
9, yeah. Okay, thanks. It is characterized, personality is characterized by morality, awareness of relativity, of relationship with other persons. It discerns conduct levels and choosingly discriminates between them. So, Shanli.
OK， 9人格具有道德特征，意识到与他人的关系的相对性，它辨别行为层次，并有选择的加以区别。
So, so, so I was saying that before. Our sense of morality, of right and wrong, comes from having personality. We feel that in our hearts, in our souls, we know what's right. We know what's wrong. That that's like it's kind of like an energy circuit that we tune into, because when we go on the wrong path, or when we choose the wrong thing, we feel kind of out of sync. We feel out of alignment. Something feels that's why people fail lie detector tests, most people, because their body is reacting to the lie. They're out of sync. It's wrong, and their body is rejecting it. Like something very much in our whole being wants to tell the truth, wants to do the right thing.
Yeah. 对，这个道德感呢，就是关于什么事情该做，什么事情不该做这样的判断，就是人格的一个基本的属性。那么，对我们整个的存有的其他的方面，比如说，心智啊、肉身啊，都是想要跟这个人格的这个属性一致的，所以这也是测谎实验的原理。那么就是我们的身体会反映我们的这种的决定，就是道德决定啊。如果我们说谎的话，那么我们的身体会有拒绝这样的一种，这样就发出这种反应。所以这是我们整个的存在，其实都想做正确的决定，都想做好的事情。
So not only is personality aware of right and wrong and good and bad, it also chooses between being better and being worse, being true and being false, telling the truth and lying, being honest with ourselves, being deceptive with ourselves, having a good relationship with someone, having a bad relationship with someone. It's our personality that makes these choices.
对我们人格，对他能意识到正确的、错误的、好的、坏的，可以在其中做分别和选择。嗯，
So they're saying that morality really is the awareness of the relativity of relationship with other persons. So relativity, they mean a relative, everything's relative, right? It's not absolute. So you have a better relationship or a worse relationship. Every relationship is relatively moral or relatively immoral. It's relatively good or bad, relatively spiritual or relatively material. You could have a perfectly good relationship, but it's not based on anything fundamental or of real lasting value.
对，他讲到人格跟人格这个或多或少的这个都会就是要建立跟人的关系，就是相对的一种其他个体之间的相对的关系，或好或坏的关系，道德或者不道德的关系，和这个或者是属灵的，或者是物质更偏物质方面的关系。有可能你跟一个人关系很好，但是这种实际上没有任何那个长期的意义的。
So when you have a relationship, like I just saw this video, of a woman who struggled all through life, was suicidal, all this stuff. She finally, it took her a long time. She finally came to know God, and she changed her life, and now she's very happy and healthy, but she had a very hard time. And when she came to finally accept God, God kept trying to give her signs and to talk to her and to lead her in the right direction, but she kept resisting. When she finally decided, Lord, I'm tired of resisting. When she finally decided to go with it, to give her will to God, she realized that her relationship was just completely material, nothing spiritual about it. It was a good relationship. They were attracted to each other. They thought they were in love with each other. He was a very attractive man. They got along fine. But she realized she had to end it because it was not based on anything, what the Urantia book would call reality. These purely material things, you can't take them to the Urantia world. It's like you can't take it when you go.
Yeah, good. 对，他就说他最近看到一个视频，就是这个女士哈，她就是长期挣扎在就是跟那个有自杀倾向哈，就是那个当她最终这个接受了神的时候，好像就是相当于把她的意志。服从神的意志，说不想生活当中再独自这样的去抵抗和挣扎。那么他马上意识到他在就是跟另外一个人的关系是完全的物质属性的。当然他们非常相爱的，互相有那种吸引力哈，但是呢，就是只是物质层面的。所以他就是是这种没有任何的续存价值的，不可能把他带到更灵性的人格成长的下一步。
So they're telling us in number 9 that personality is really interwoven with morality. Our whole true morality, not cultural, oh, you're not supposed to, or you can't eat fish on Friday, or not that kind of a real spiritual morality, real right and wrong, godliness and not godliness. So they're saying that innate sense we have, that's tied to our personality. So when we're in tune with that, when we let that guide us, we know automatically whether our relationships are moral or immoral, good or bad. Are we helping each other or hurting each other? Is this person good for us or bad for us? Are we being good to this person or bad to this person? We know these things. Even without, we may not even change the way we're acting, but we know our personality is able to discern our relationship with other people. And they're saying that's what morality really, morality involves your interaction with other people. I never thought of it like that, but I think that's what they're saying.
That's fabulous. 那他就是说，这个人格是跟这个道德性它是交织在一起的啊，那个就是属灵性的道德性啊，是神圣的还是不神圣的？这个东西会指导我们，就是自动的，它会指导我们这一种关系呢，它是好的还是不好的，是帮助我们的还是伤害我们的啊？我们马上就能够知道，可以分别啊，就是跟别人的关系当中就不会有很困惑。就像上面那个女士，她马上交托了之后，她马上就看到，实际上好像似乎属事方面很好的一种关系，实际上对她是没有任何的灵性价值的。这也是一种这个属灵性的道德性啊，给我们的一种人格的一种启示。
And then it explains it a little better. It says, personality discerns conduct levels and choosingly discriminates between them. So it discerns, it identifies, it understands conduct levels. So is it a low level or a high level? So your conduct level, it would be the quality of your conduct. Is it a high quality or a low quality? They're calling it levels. The low level would be a base material, maybe even dishonest or disjointed, out of alignment. High level would be getting closer to the way Jesus acted, or the way the angels would treat each other. So they're saying it's our personality can discern that. We can judge how we're interacting with people, and then we can choosingly discriminate between them. We can choose to act on a higher level or a lower level.
Yeah, that's wonderful. 对，他就是这一句哈，就是他辨别就是人格嘛，辨别行为层次，并有选择的加以区别。就是说这个行为层次呢，当然就是有高啊，有低啊。从品质上来讲，你是更趋向于这个动物性和物质性的，还是更倾向于像耶稣啊、天使啊这个级别的？它至于你可以判断我们对就是怎么样跟人去交往，去这种相互作用啊，可以选择这个行为的层次。
So our personality has a color and a flavor, that makes us who we are. So it has a recognizable quality, tone, shape, texture, however you want to describe who you are. But it also has a function. It's also a tool. It chooses. It has free will. It makes choices all the time. Our personality, the same one that tells people who we are, makes us recognizable, it also is constantly choosing between doing God's will and not doing God's will, being godly or being ungodly, constantly, especially in relationship to other people. And I think that's what they mean when they say it's relatively creative or co-creative, because that's a creative process when we make these choices to be more godly or less godly. That's when we start getting creative.
对，就是我们的因为人格有自由意志嘛，我们就是可以做选择啊，根据我们的所示那个运用这个自由意志，可以选择是哪个更比较属灵的、神圣的，还是不。所以这个也就是联系到前面说到我们相对的这个创造力和共同创造力，这个就是我们发挥我们的创造力的时候，因为我们这个拥有这个自由意志，就可以做选择，有这种做选择的这个全能，实际上就是一个创造力的一个表现。
So it's kind of like our mind can think about things and can analyze and examine, but our mind by itself is more like a computer. It can't really recognize morality, truth, goodness, godliness. That's why people who only use their mind and forget to use their feelings and their soul and their gut, they usually make the wrong decisions. They're usually not very loving, giving, spontaneous, warm people. So it's our personality so we can use our mind to think about things. We can think about our history. We can think about everything that's happened. We can do investigations. We can analyze, but then we have to go back to our personality to make those choices, to know in our soul what is right or wrong. That's not a mind thing. That's what they're telling us. That's a personality thing. That's a moral thing. That's what they're telling us.
对，他就说那头脑呢可以分析，就是像电脑一样，但是呢，他也没有办法区分是正确错误啊，是属灵的还是不属灵的呢？所以要回到那个我们的那个直觉去，有的时候要结合那个直觉的作用去做决定啊。而不光是靠头脑去调查，所以呢，实际上这人格它就要结合这些的方面，然后再做出灵魂层面的一个道德的选择。
Sometimes you can use your mind to analyze something very completely and accurately. And then you can say, well, based on this analysis, I should do this, or I should do that. So that's a mental process. But then it's your personality or your gut that says, yes, that's the right decision, or no, something doesn't feel right. So that's I think how your mind and your personality work together.
头脑有时候可能分析说，基于就是这种分析啊，我应该怎么做。但是呢，有可能那个情感上呢，他就是也会说yes，可以这样做，或者不能这样做。所以呢，就是他在整合嘛，人格他就要整合这些的方面，然后做出决定。
Okay. Number 10, personality is unique, absolutely unique. It is unique in time and space. It is unique in eternity and on paradise. It is unique when bestowed. There are no duplicates. It is unique during every moment of existence. It is unique in relation to God. He is no respecter of persons, but neither does he add them together, for they are non-addable. They are associable, but non-totalable. Non-totalable. Because it might be totalable, but it's probably totalable.
Yeah.
OK，10，人格是独一无二的，绝对的独一无二。它在时间和空间中独一无二，在永恒和天堂中独一无二，在被赋予时独一无二，没有副本，在存在的每一刻独一无二。对神来说，它是独一无二的。神不偏袒任何人，但也不将他们加在一起，因为他们是不可相加的。他们可以联合，但不可总和。
So that one, okay, obviously personality is unique. They made that very clear. Unique. So, but then they say, it is unique in relation to God. He is no respecter of persons. So that's an expression. I don't know if you know that one. It means, he's not impressed by anyone. That's what we like, people who treat rich people or powerful people better than they treat the guy who washes the floor or cleans the bathroom. That's what it means, respecter of persons. he is no respecter of persons. The guy who cleans the floor might even be treated a little better than the rich guy with the yacht.
对，他就提到那个词哈，一方面这一段里边有7个 unique 强调人格的独一无二性，但是他又是在第几行倒数第2行有一个词叫 respect of persons， 就是不偏袒任何人。那不是说这个看你有钱呢，他就多尊重你一些；你要是贫穷的打扫卫生的，他就对你不那么尊重，他没有偏袒任何人。他没准他对那些境遇比较差的，也许他更尊重呢。都是。
So that's just saying, not only are each personality is different and unique, but none are better than any others. That's what he's saying.
对，他这个独一无二，并且就是没有谁比谁不好或者好。
In God's eyes, the personality of an Ancient of Days or of a Christ Michael is no more valuable than a personality of someone cleaning toilets in Afghanistan.
他就说这个在神的眼里边，你不管是这个亘古常在者呀，还是基督迈克尔，那个他们的人格就跟你在阿富汗清扫厕所的人，他们都是平等的。
In other words, he values and he loves each person the same, just the same amount.
对，他就是热爱每一个人格，也珍藏每一个人格都是一样的。
But then they say, neither does he add them together, for they are non-addable. They are associable, but non-totalable. So that means you can group them together and associate them, but you can't say like, oh, well, now these 10 personalities are worth something different than this one personality, because now we have 10, so that's better than one. Or you can't, they have to always remain, they can work together, they can be grouped together, but you can't add them together. You can't merge them.
对，那他可以把这不同的人格放在一群体里边，使他们产生联系。但是你不能说10个就比1个好，或者是他把几个人格就是相融到一起。
So this is complicated, but they're oh no, I know how I can say it. I was going to use numbers, but that's too abstract. Let's say you're making dinner and you have your cheese and crackers as your appetizer. You have a nice fish as your main course, and you have nice tapioca pudding for dessert. Okay? Well, you can add them all together and get a meal. But you can't mush them all together and get like, oh, I may as well put them in one pot and just eat them because now I have a better meal. Doesn't work that way. They're going to remain cheese and crackers, fish, and pudding. You're never going to just put them together and say, okay, let's just mix these up. Now we have this over here. They're always going to be the unique. They'll just be together as a meal, but they'll still be unique dishes.
他就是举一个例子让大家理解这一点。你比如说你请人吃饭做一顿大餐，那么先是就是奶酪饼干作为作为开胃菜，然后呢鱼上来，然后呢甜点呢是一个什么布丁，然后这个形成一个大餐，一个完整的晚餐。你不能把所有的这些你都混在一起，你说端上来一个大锅，说你这吃吧，这就是我的晚餐。那么每一个都是独一无二的，这个端上来，对，组成这么一个很棒的晚餐。
you're never going to put, this is the last thing I'll say on this. You're never going to put 20 personalities together and then just have one big mixed personality. It's never going to happen. It's always going to be 20 unique personalities associating together.
对，你不会把20个人格，然后都弄到一块儿，形成一个更大的人格，不是这样的。你只能把这20个人放在一起执行某一个功能。
And now I'll read the next two, because they're short. Number 11, personality responds directly to other personality presence. Number 12, it is one thing which can be added to spirit, thus illustrating the primacy of the Father in relation to the Son. Mind does not have to be added to spirit. Whew, okay, that's a weird one. Okay, go, Shenli.
OK，11人格直接对其他人格的存在做出响应。12，它是一种可以被添加到灵性中的东西，从而展示相对于圣子来说天赋的卓越性。心智不必被添加到灵性中。
Okay, this is you know, let's just say very Urantia booky. So
对，
okay,
这两段是非常具有预言下之书的特色的。
I'm gonna call these kind of things Urantia booky. So number 12, I'm talking about 12.
他说的是第12个特点，这是非常具有预言下之书的特色。
So number 11 is easy. Personality responds directly to other personality presence. And that's they're just, you know, it's like there's some, when you have a personality, you will always be aware of another personality. Maybe not so much the angels and beings, the midwayers, and you know, beings that we can't see, but any, you know, anyone on your visual field, and sometimes you can be aware even when they're not, but personality is a complete, you're always aware of another personality.
对，它这个第11个特点呢，直接对其他人格的存在做出响应。当然，我们不会那个很容易的对天使啊、对中道者啊、其他的那个造物去做出反应，因为在我们视线能够认识的范围内，我们会对其他的人能够做出反应。当然不一定说看得见，有时候看不见的人格，我们也可以对其做出反应。
So number 12, it is the personality is one thing which can be added to spirit, thus illustrating the primacy of the Father in relation to the Son. Well, okay, so that there's a lot to that, but I'll try to be brief about it. The thought adjuster doesn't have personality, so it's a natural marriage. When we fuse, we're adding our personality to the spirit. That's what it is. It's a marriage of our personality and the thought adjuster spirit. So that's you. I'll let you translate that, and I'll keep going.
对，那思想调整者他是没有人格的啊，然后呢，现在是把这个人格加到灵性上面，也就是思想调整者。
So our body and our mind, all these things, they're kind of shared. We kind of share them I would say that we probably share them with our thought adjuster. And on the next mind, our soul is is sort of like a combination of our mind and our thought adjuster, but our personality can actually be combined, added, merged with it. It's a one thing the thought adjuster can have added to it because it's complete. The thought adjuster doesn't need our mind, doesn't need our body, but it really does want personality because the thought adjuster is a pre-personal being.
对，像这个我们的身体啊、心智啊，都是跟思想调整者去分享的。那么灵魂呢，它是一个灵性和心智的结合。对，这个人格是可以添加和混合到灵性上面。
Our thought adjuster wants to be part of us, go through our whole journey with us. It wants us to give our personality to it. It wants to say, hey, why don't you share this personality with me? That's what our thought adjuster wants. And we can do that. If we don't do that.
那个思想调整者叫在预书当中就是前人格的，就是潜在人格，他没有自己的人格，他在这个我们的养生之旅当中，他实际上是想跟我们分享我们的人格的，是这样子的。
If we don't do that, our thought adjuster will end up probably in another human, mortal, or will become a self-acting thought adjuster, but we will cease to exist. If we don't do that, we're not going to survive in eternity. So basically, our purpose is to share our personality with our thought adjuster. That's why we were created. We won't survive if we don't do that.
Yeah, that's the most wonderful part. 对，如果我们不跟那个思想调整者 share 这个人格哈，那个思想调整者就离开了，他要去找新的寄居的人格，然后或者他自己发展成自我行动的思想调整者，那么同时我们的人格也停止存在，也没有办法续存，所以实际上我们呢的目的也是要去跟这个思想调整者去分享我们的人格，这也是为什么我们被创造的目的。
So we can do it sooner or we can do it later, but we have to do it. If we want to stay alive in the universe, we got to do that. So, we can just put it off as long as we want, but at some point we've got to say, Lord, I'm tired of trying.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. Take it easy. Take your time. 他就说呢，你可以推迟跟思想调整者的融合哈，但是或早晚，早早晚晚你是要这样做的。如果是你想要达到永恒的续存啊，你想永远的对达到这个，你总有一天你会说我不自己去挣扎了，就是这么处处碰壁，我就是服从你的意志，就是跟你结合，完全的融合，对，你的意志就是我的意志，相当于我们这个人格最后都是要达成这样的一个融合，跟这个神的永久的融合，才能达到我们人格的续存。这也是就是这一章，它叫 personality survival。
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Oh,
Okay.
we only have
That's the essence of this paper, right? Personality survival.
yeah. Well, let's see. No, the whole paper, yes. Yes, and this, yeah, and this section is just the beginning, so it doesn't have a, yeah, that personality survival. Exactly. So, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so it says mind does not have to be added to spirit, because the thought adjuster doesn't need to use our mind. The thought adjuster seems to definitely have a mind of its own. So, but it doesn't have personality. So that's what they're saying.
对，这个心智呢，不必被添加到灵性中，因为思想调整者他实际上他有他自己的 mind，有他自己的心智，他就是可以独立的运作的。
There are these human adjutant mind spirits that our mind connects to on the mortal level, and then there's the soul, which is the Marancha mind. I think when we're a spirit, I think spirits innately have mind. They just sort of have it. Like they don't get it from, you know what I mean? It's like part of them. That's what I think.
就是人类的辅助心智之灵，它是帮助这个心智达到这个，是不是达到灵智性的水平啊？然后那个当我们灵智体的时候，就是我们的灵魂，就是我们的灵智体的时候的心智。
If the soul is evolving and becomes our Marancha mind, which it does, then maybe it just keeps evolving until it becomes our spirit mind, and then for all eternity, that's our spirit mind. I think it's something like that.
Yeah，那么它这个灵智性心智，或者说我们的灵魂继续进化，继续进化，那么它到最后就变成了纯灵性的这个心智。
So, and the thought adjusters are part of God, and they definitely have some kind of spirit mind.
Huh? What?
What?
Who has spirit mind?
So number number 12, they're saying, you know, it is one thing which can be added to spirit, personality can be added to spirit, thus illustrating the primacy of the Father in relation to the Son. Mind does not have to be added to spirit. So I'm just saying, a thought spirit, they're talking about thought adjusters, right? So the thought adjuster is part of God. It is God. It doesn't need our Maranchal mind or our human mind. It can think just fine. It's God.
对，就是做这个思想调整者，也就是这个灵性，这个神，它是不需要我们的人类的头脑或者是灵智性的心智啊，去运作了。
I didn't address this strange sentence here that says it is one thing, spirit personality is one thing, I would say is the one thing that can be, but it says is one thing which can be added to spirit. So in other words, I would say spirit is complete. The only thing it could use would be personality, because it's pre-personal. It pretty much has everything else. But then it says, so they're saying when you add personality to spirit, it's illustrating the primacy of the Father in relation to the Son. And I think they're saying that God existed, and when he created the Son, it was like the Son was personality. The Son gave him personality. It was like God himself was pre-personal until he created the Son and the Infinite Spirit. I think they're talking about something like that.
对对对，yeah yeah yeah that's very profound actually。就是这句话呢，他就说圣子从而展示相对于圣子来说天赋的卓越性。那么我们知道，思想调整者是潜在人格的。当这个天赋创造圣子的时候，相当于就是圣子代表的就是人格，他就创造出了人格。所以他是对我说不太清楚，但是我大概是好像明白了。沈丽，你明白了吗？所以就是
Maybe
人本身他是潜在人格，当他创造出圣子的时候，他就是创造出了人格，他是这样的意思。
maybe God didn't require personality when he was the only thing that existed, right? Maybe personality is only needed when you start relating to other personalities.
对，这个人格呢，什么时候才需要呢？他就是说，他要跟其他的人格进行互动的时候，他才是需要的。individual
Okay, you mean personality is needed only in relationship?
Well, I don't know, but
yeah
I'm trying to understand why they're saying that when that it is one thing can be added to spirit. They're saying when you add personality to spirit, it is like the primacy of the Father in relation to the Son. So they're comparing those two things. They're comparing adding personality to the Spirit, like the relationship of the Father and the Son. Father in relation to
yeah
the primacy of the Father. So the only thing I can think of is that one is like the thought adjuster spirit, and one is like the personality that we add to it. So that's the only thing that I can think that could mean. So that would be like the Son would be personality, adding that the only thing the Father that could make the Father was so whole and so complete, and yet the Son did give him something, made him even more the Trinity. Right? The only thing he could never make him more than he already was the Son. And that was,
yeah
I think the Son is his personality.
Mhm.
The Son, because then the Son creates these creator sons, and they are very much personalities. They're more personable than God. God is almost himself pre-personal, like our thought adjusters.
yeah I understand what
Yeah. It's almost like he's a combination of every
Mhm.
personality.
Yeah, so Trinity is a kind of necessary to for proliferation of himself, extent of himself, creation, the nature of creation. So he
Yeah.
needs the Son to proliferate. So the
And
manifestation
also to
of his
relate
divinity.
to all of his creation. We really do approach the Father through the Son. I mean, we can also talk to him directly because he gives us personality, gives us our thought adjusters. But it's like the Son puts a human face on God in a way.
Yeah，我们是通过这个他的子哈，圣子来接触神的，因为他的子就是有人格的，所以我们跟其他的人格可以产生关系，发生作用。那么我们是通过认识他的子来认识神。 这是这样的一个关系。那么我就联想到，为什么三一神他是这个是必要的，就这三种的角色它是必要的，这是创造和推恩所必要的一个结构。这当然这很深的，我记得那个小飞虫他讲这个应该讲的很透彻，我大概了解这个意思，但是我表达不清楚。Yeah.
Does it saying how the sun?
I think that all of this is probably very well explained in the beginning of the book.
对，他有可能就是书的前半部分有可能讲这个东西讲的比较透彻。Yeah, I'm eager to
Yes.
read those. I have some kind of very weak understanding, but I think maybe the first two books may explain better. Illustration.
You
I
hear
mean,
it?
I've read it all. I've read it all, but I don't remember everything that I've read through the years, So I think that when we finally get to those sections, they'll really explain it. And I think it's really Urantia booky stuff. Complicated.
I think this is really it like saying the Trinity, because there is Spirit, Father, and Son.
Yes.
This is Trinity.
Yes, and I think that in order to create the universe, they had to have the Trinity. That's for sure. How God created the Son. Oh, I'm seeing if I can remember. Well, you could just say he's God. Like just there he was. See, they say that first there was God, and then he created the Son, and then the infinite Spirit. But then they say, but they're all eternal. So the Trinity always was. So it's almost impossible for us to understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They're talking about first there was God, but there all always were. So that's in our linear thinking, that's a contradiction. In the infinite eternal God thinking, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, okay. Can we go?
Right? So do we even want to go there yet?
No, I don't.
Oh. So I mean that the first thing, that even before you think of how he made him, you can think of when did he make him? Well, according to the Rancher book, he made them, but they were always made. So there you go.
对，这个就是说那个神好像创造了子啊，还有无限之灵啊，但是也可以说这三一神他这亘古常在的，所以这个我们常人的头脑也很难理解，也是读到那儿的时候会有一些更灵性的体悟。现在我们不想再深入的去探讨这个。
对，琪琪，这个地方卓越性这个翻译可能是不太准确的。
是的，有。
What you say? What you say?
但是也许只有我们读了那些真正的了解那个是什么意思，然后才知道这个 primacy 到底应该怎么是。
Yeah, we are talking about the Chinese translation. This may be not so accurate.
We are talking about Chinese translation, but however, we can be able to discern which words is better after we get more understanding ourselves. So that's why I'm thinking.
But when I say it's Urantia booky, that means that even in English, it's pretty darn hard to understand what they're talking about.
对，就是因为《玉染下之书》好多的概念呐、词啊，就是《玉染下之书》它里边独有的，就是即使对英文它本语言的人来说，他也不一定理解，对啊。如果灵性没有那个，他也对这个词本身他也不一定对应啥意思，他也 读不懂。
Yes, we are discussing about the word primacy. Primacy means here means the father is the creator of the son, right?
Yes,
It's not
I think that prime usually means first, right? I think
yeah, yeah,
it's related to first. So, and also it also seems to sometimes it can mean superior or more important or something like that.
yeah.
The prime reason or the prime location is like the better one, you know? So I think they're saying that the father is like the big cheese, the big deal, but you can add personality. You know, that's a one thing you can make to enhance him. You know, he's like the perfect place, but you know, you add a swimming pool, it's even better. It's like they're I think that the son, it has to mean that because in this context, it can't, they're talking about adding personality to the thought adjuster. And then they're saying the primacy of the father and the son. So yes, the father, the thought adjuster is definitely has primacy in our little minds.
Yeah, the first that means the first one.
And
The
the main,
father is the
yeah.
first one.
Or precede 这个
Well, I think it's the first one and maybe the most important, you know, the more important one. I mean, like I said, if we don't merge with our thought adjuster, we're not gonna survive. We're not gonna be around. Thought adjusters are always gonna be around. So they're not only they're the first and the last. You know, they're prime. They're more
source essence.
yeah, they're more real than we are. So the father is. I mean, if you have to say who's more powerful, the father or the son, you have to say the father.
Yeah, that's the source.
Yeah, but he's first, but he's also the biggest deal.
Biggest deal, yes.
Big shot.
也没有错误啊，
King of the mountain.
翻的也没有错。
也可以，就是两种意思都有，我感觉。
对呀，对。
See, this is the thing. Here you go. It is like the thought adjuster with the personality. If we don't give our personality to the thought adjuster, we're not going to survive. But the thought adjuster will survive. He'll get a personality somewhere else. Now,
对，
if the father weren't around, there'd be no son. The father made the son. The son didn't create the father.
Yeah, that's true.
So together they're like a incredible team. So are we when we give our personality to our thought adjuster. So it's not like we're not giving anything of value. Our personality is of great value. It's incredible. Our thought adjuster wants nothing more than for us to share our personality with us. God loves the son. He's much happier having the son with him. So I think that's what they're talking about.
对，这个人格呢，没有思想调整者，他就没有办法续存。但是思想调整者呢，我们这个人格不接受它，它可以跟别的人格去融合呀。那所以呢，就是思想调整和人格的这个融合，互相增益的这么一个合作的关系。但是呢，从源头上来讲，还是灵性思想调整者所代表的。它是更原始的、源头的、更重要的，所以这个地方翻译说天赋的卓越性对于圣子来说，那也没有错，对，也是可以的，合适。
So we can finish this section. There's only 2 more and they're easy ones.
Yes.
I'm going to read them both. And then we finish this and it's so nice of, how do you say JJ? Is that how you say?
谢谢。
Oh, Shay, like?
Yeah.
姐
JJ. Oh, she's gone. No, she's still there. Something moved. I thought she left us. So I know she's probably getting is it he or she?
Who?
JJ.
杰
杰
杰，
阿杰 it's the first time he got in, you know.
You don't know if it's a boy or a girl, a
He's a
man or
boy. He is a boy. He's a
Oh,
very
okay.
young boy at 30th.
13?
30th. 30 years old.
Oh, young compared to me.
Young boy, yeah.
Child.
开玩笑，阿杰，跟你开玩笑。
Let's make
你是
fun
一
of
个
him.
年
No,
轻
I'm
的
only
男孩儿。
kidding.
他说：“哎呀，对，他对跟我相比，他是很年轻。”
He's
你随便开玩笑，我也听不懂啊。
he's a man. He's a man.
Yes.
他说he said you can make joke anyway because I don't understand any English. Okay, I told her already. Yes, 我已经告诉他了。
Well,
Yeah.
he's very, very welcome. I'm just trying
But
to
he
fit-
wanna, yeah, he really wanna, learn English better. His major goal now is to study English better. So I told him that if you don't understand English better, it's hard for you to understand the spiritual materials better because most channeling materials are in English.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, he'll learn. He'll probably, tell him this. He can come here just to learn English. It's fine with us.
对，他就说欢迎你经常来，这样我们可以一起学英语啊。你就即使你不懂，你就听他也是竹篮打水，他也是那个篮子会湿啊。你在这个语境当中，就像你比如说，如果在一个所有人都说英文的一个环境，你自然而然对这个语言就没有那么陌生，慢慢的就很容易那个去 pick up 这个。我觉得这个暴露在语言环境其实很重要的。
你告诉他的声音，很好听，他的笑声很有感染力。
Oh, okay. Well, he wanted me to tell you that your voice is very very attractive and your laugh is so inspirational.
Oh God! Yeah, tell him he makes my heart soar like an eagle.
他说让我告诉你的话使他觉得他的心飞起来了，像鹰一样飞起来了，他非常开心。Thank you.
He
You.
did. He
Yeah.
did. Tell him that I don't usually do these accents like I did today.
他说他不常那个就是模仿人啊，就是这样的不同的口音啊，这个不同的文化的人，他说他不经常这样去扮演的。
But if he likes them, I'll try to do more every time he comes.
他说如果你喜欢的话，他说每一次你来我都要做更多更多的扮演。
好啊，
He said okay.
他笑得好开心，我都好开心，我感觉都被他。
And when he hear you laugh, he's also very joyful. He's become very more joyful.
Oh, then my life is worth living.
他说我的人生就值得生活了，值得，非常值得。
No, I actually mean, if I can bring a little joy to one person, then my life is worth living.
他的意思是说，如果我给任何的一个人带来欢乐，那么我的生命就是值得的。
If I can get one little laugh out of one person, I had a good life.
对，那就是让
I've
一
had
个
meaning.
人能够就是这样笑一次，他就已经值得生活了。对啊，他就很谦虚。实际上，我们不管是什么情绪，都是有传染力的。这也是为什么我每次参加这个 study， 我每次都很受他的感染，也慢慢的对我也改变很大。是的。I just told the people that's why every time I attend our session, I not only learn a lot, I also your emotion is contagious, so kind of uplift me a lot.
Oh,
as
Ricky,
well.
yeah, my heart is soaring like an eagle and a hawk together now.
两种对，他说现在我的心就像鹰和那个秃鹫一样的飞起来了，
突就
就是更大的一种鹰啊。
哦
Eagle 是一般的小个的鹰，Hawk 是那种翅膀更大更宽的那种鹰，
来，
我就给它翻成秃鹫。
我觉得他说话很有趣，很
he
好
said
像
you
讲
are very humorous.
he said what?
You are rich of humor. Your talk is rich of humor.
My heart is soaring like an eagle that just flew over a rainbow.
他说我的心像过那个彩虹
rainbow。
，rainbow 彩虹。
Is that name? It sounds to me like thank you, like Shay. Isn't that thank you?
No. In the beginning, we thought you tried to say thank you, but later we realized that you want to mention the name 杰杰。就是他一开始说杰杰的时候，我以为他想说谢谢，结果后来我才知道，他是想提你名字，因为你把这个作为你的英文名字放在那儿。Yeah.
But are they similar? Say both. Say thank you and then say his name.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. 谢谢。
谢谢杰杰。No,
equals
they're
thank
totally different.
杰那个杰出的英文怎么说的 ？Extraordinary. 杰 in Chinese means extraordinary.
It's even better than thank you.
他说比谢谢还要好啊。Yes, of course. 杰 is a good name.
It's a very good name. My
杰出
goodness.
的意思，我告诉他杰是杰出的意思。是。
It's an extraordinary name.
Yeah，他说这个非常杰出的名字，就你的名字起得很好。
So you think they sound different, Shay and Shay?
Yeah, of course. For us, it's quite different. Yeah. Consonant part is different. Yeah.
Ch. All right.
杰
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 谢谢 Yeah, a little bit different. In the tongue, kind of placed on different part of
Yeah.
谢杰。
I'll get it.
姐，你还是起一个稍微英文一点的名字，你看他的
OK，
发起来好难哦。
Your English is good.
You
Please
like
start
this
something
name?
good.
Okay, just keep it then.
我
那你就留着吧。他说他喜欢你的名字。
Oh, listen, Che, if you like this, if you like this group, you're going to have to go back and listen to all the recordings so you can get caught up and learn. We've gone over so much stuff that will help you understand even better what we're reading if you listen to the recordings.
对，他就说哈，你要是感兴趣的话哈，你可以回去听我们那些回放啊，那个就可以你懂得更多啊。
我在努力的听。
Yeah, Jay said that he's making efforts to listening. Yeah, because he have access to YouTube. Karen uploaded there, so he found all our historical recordings there.
Okay, yeah, just tell them because they give like the whole very basic overview of the book, which is really helpful.
对，他说尤其头几次的，然后就有一些的最基本的一些的那个整个的书的一个全貌的一个预习，就是可能会有帮助。Yeah.
谢谢。
Is that thank you?
Yes.
Thank you.
See, that's the one word I know.
Yeah, yeah, that's what he said. 谢谢 Thank you.
So let's read the last two.
Sure.
Okay, I'll read them and then Shenley, you do it, and they're easy. They're easy ones.
OK，
Number 13. Personality may survive mortal death with identity in the surviving soul. Wow. The adjuster and the personality are changeless. The relationship between them in the soul is nothing but change, continuing evolution. And if this change, growth ceased, the soul would cease. Okay, 14. Personality is uniquely, this is very interesting, this one. Personality is uniquely conscious of time. And this is something other than the time perception of mind or spirit. Okay.
13，人格可能在凡人死亡后以续存灵魂的身份存活。调整者和人格是不变的，他们之间的关系在灵魂中除了变化还是变化，不断进化。而如果这种变化、成长停止，灵魂就会停止存在。14，人格对时间有独特的意识，至于心智或灵性对时间的感知是不同的。
Okay. So 13, personality may survive mortal death with identity in the surviving soul. Okay, the adjuster and the personality. Okay, so when we die, our personality survives in the soul. So we're in this life, our personality is associated with our mind, but in the next life, it's associated with our soul. So it survives with the soul, with our soul and our personality both will survive together.
对。那么在这个生命呢，我们的人格跟我们的心智相连，在下一个生命期呢，就是以续存灵魂的身份，就是人格要附在这个续存灵魂上面，就得到存活，得到续存。那么，就是第一句是这个意思。
They're saying in the soul, so I guess that's kind of where it lives. So when our guardian angel brings our soul to the Marancha world, our personality is in it.
对，那个因为我们死亡之后，就是守护天使会把我们就是裹挟到新的灵智性世界嘛，那么就实际上我们的人格就在里边，被带到那边。
So then it says the adjuster and the personality are changeless. The relationship between them in the soul is nothing but change, continuing evolution. And if this change ceased, the soul would cease, which is what I was talking about. Is like, we won't make it if we don't keep changing with our, okay. So it's saying the adjuster and the personality are changeless. Okay, we know that. God doesn't change. Personality, which is a gift of God, doesn't change. These are two of the only things in all the universe that don't change. There's a lot of change going on, but the God doesn't change. Our personality, gift of God, doesn't change.
对他这个话说，调整者人格是不变的，但是就是这个他们之间的关系，就是以灵魂为代表的，因为这个灵魂它是调整者和人格，它是对它共同的产物嘛。它是这个关系呢是一直在不断的变化。
the relationship between them is nothing but change. So you've got two things that don't change, but how they relate to each other is constantly changing.
Yeah, I already.
Oh, and evolving.
对，就是这个是不断的变化和不断的进化的，也就是说，这个灵魂，也就是这个关系，调整人格之间的关系是不断的进化的。
And this is going, and it's going to keep changing. It's going to keep there. I think the soul and the spirit, even after we merge, I think there's still a relationship. I'm not sure about that, but I think that because I think we keep evolving and becoming more godlike long after we merge with our thought adjuster.
对，即使我们就是跟那个融合，跟思想调整完全融合以后，实际上它也是在不断的进化，就是这个关系就还在。
So our soul is where our personality and thought adjuster communicate.
Our soul is our mind and adjuster communicate.
Our soul is where
我们的灵魂啊是什么？是一个什么场所呢？是调整者跟人格在交流的这么一个场所。
Oh my God, does extraordinary even know what a thought adjuster is?
姐，你知道思想调整者是什么，对吧？
调整者我不知道，我今天第一次来，我第一次看这
He
些。
doesn't know. He doesn't know what a thought adjuster is. But I mentioned to him that 这个是神的片段 the fragmentation of God.
Okay. He's got to read the he's got to listen. Oh, there's so much to listen to, but he's got to, yeah, I mean, this must have been hard for him if he doesn't even know it. He has a spirit of, it's a spirit of God inside us. That's all we have to say.
对，你可以把它想成神的灵，对，
But each one of us has our own personal spirit of God inside us that's just always with us, communicating with us. Just
对，就是神的灵在我们里面，每个人都有这个个体的神的灵在我们里边跟我们交流。
And then it says, and if this communication in our soul, the relationship is always evolving, it's always changing, and it's happening in our soul. And if it ever stops growing and changing, then the soul would die. The soul would die. We would have no soul. The soul is created from our mind and our thought adjuster, and it needs to that input from the thought adjuster. It needs to have that relationship in order to survive.
对，那个灵魂，它不就是我们心智跟灵性交流的场所吗？如果这种变化、这种交流、这种成长停止的话，灵魂就会停止存在。
Now the number 14, the last one of this section. This is the first section of this paper. Personality is this is the very interesting one. Personality is uniquely conscious of time. And this is something other than the time perception of mind or spirit. So I don't know what that means. I know what it means to say personality is uniquely conscious of time. That makes sense because we know that somewhere inside of us, there is a consciousness of time. We also have a consciousness of direction, but a lot of us are more in tune with it than others. I'm not at all in tune with, I have a terrible sense of direction, but okay, stop there.
对，他就说到这个人格对时间具有独特的意识。他就说，那当然我们对方向也有那个方向感，大概是不是也是这个特征之一？他就说，有的人对方向感就特别的，直觉很好。他说我的方向感就很差。
So if they just ended there, personality is uniquely conscious of time, I'd be good. But then they say, and this is something other than the time perception of mind or spirit. So it sounds like they're saying that mind and spirit are also conscious of time, doesn't it?
Yeah，那么他这个光第一句呢还好理解，但下面有一句说与心智或灵性对时间的感知是不同的，那就说明心智或灵性其实对时间也是有感知的认知。
So I can understand that spirit is God would be conscious of time, and that would be different than our personality also being conscious of time. But I get confused with they're saying the time perception of mind. So are they saying our mind is conscious of time and our personality, they're both conscious of time in different ways? Or
Yeah, I think so.
how could you, I mean, why would you need two parts of you being conscious of the same thing? I don't get that.
Of course, your inner being, your inner self view time will perceive differently from your outer self. Yeah, that's something else. But anyway, different being, different entity at different level, different consciousness level, view time not the same. That's
Maybe it's because
they are in different dimension.
yeah, and maybe because if something happened to your mind, like it wasn't working properly, your spirit, your personality would still be aware of time, in a more profound way. If you know what I mean? Maybe even if your mind malfunctioned or something. Or maybe when your mind is asleep or dreaming, it's not as conscious but the personality always is, or yeah, something like that. Some kind of different, like you said, a different level. It's interesting though. There's a lot of time
你
consciousness.
的对，有可能你的头脑如果失去对时间的感知，也许你的人格本身它也还有对时间有意识啊。那如果你心智健全，是不是有可能，你的人格的时间的意识就等于你的心智的意识呢？我也不知道，不清楚。Yeah, if you don't lose your mind, your personality's consciousness of time, is that going to be the same as whatever the mind perceived?
No, it's saying it's different, and this is something other. So well, it's different.
Yeah.
I don't know if
For example, if you are in the dream, is that your mind perceiving the time, or is that your personality perceive the time? You lost your mind when you are asleep, but when you are awake, you kind of you understand that, oh, you fall asleep and you can recall whatever happened before you were asleep. Is that a part of the consciousness of time of personality?
well, first of all, I just said that hypothetically, like, well, maybe when you're asleep, your mind isn't conscious of time, but maybe it is. Maybe your mind is always conscious of time, whether you're dreaming or sleeping or in a coma, or we don't. That's why this confuses me, because I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know how the mind is conscious of time, and I don't know how that's different than the personality being conscious of time. I
对，
do
他是承认在这一部分他不知道这个人格对时间的意识和心智对时间的意识有什么不同。我是认为人在睡觉的时候，也许人的头脑失去了对时间的那个意识，但是人格还持续的有这个。他说那不一定啊，那个 也许在梦中，实际上头脑也还是掌控这个对时间的感知的。那我们不太了解这个是什么意思。
I mean, it makes perfect sense that the spirit is conscious of time, and that's other than the mind and the personality. That makes perfect sense. That's God. Of course, God's conscious of time.
对，他说但这个灵，它灵对时间的感知不同，这个是很好理解的，因为灵跟我们就是根本就不在一个位置嘛。对啊，他说这个好理解。OK，
Maybe because maybe it has something to do with because our mind is temporary and it's going to be replaced with our soul, and our personality is going to be connected to our soul. Maybe we need like a backup system, and because otherwise when we died we'd lose our sense of time, and this way it continues. I mean, it could be something like that.
I kind of, it's something occurs to me. People who have multiple personalities, they suddenly forgot who they are, and then some other personality emerge from the same.
Yeah, I know those.
Yeah, and then that the new emerged person can have no idea what's the previous person, why he appear here, why he show up here, what's the previous person do. So that but that the same person can recall whatever he as this particular person do last time when he is in this body. So that means that personality indeed have his unique consciousness of time.
Yeah, but that's not multiple personalities. That's not the gift of God, the personality that we're talking about. There's only one. No matter how many multiple personalities you have, you only have one person. God only gives each person one personality. So those are just I would say they're not really different personalities. They're it's like a fragmented, it's like your personality gets fragmented.
他说那种多重人格的，他并不是说这是很多个不同的人，他是可能同一个人格，他给片段化了，他没有整合，就是所以他给片段化了。这个他说这个不是这个，应该不适用于这个地方。
But all those fragments are really coming from your one personality.
对，那些的片段大概都属于你的这个人格，总的这个人格。
I mean, I'm sure it's just a trick. Your mind, it's a survival technique. You get that when things are too painful to remember, to process. You just you separate yourself into fragmented personalities so that no one personality has to remember that horrible, painful stuff that happened.
对，一个属于一种生存技巧，就是相当于自个儿骗自个儿，就是因为有一些的比较痛苦的经历，他想那个好像摒除在外，那么他就把自己的人格分成不同的部分，这样的话，一个不需要记起另外一个的经历和影响。对，是一个人自我保护的一个生存机制。
It also gives you a way to start acting out in response to some of the trauma. Like very often they have one personality that's very angry and mad and tough, and then they have another one that's very kind and meek. But it's like they need that tough one, they need that angry one because of what happened to them, but they're really still a sweet, kind person, so it's very, very bizarre thing.
对，就是有很多的多种人格的，还一个就可能就是比较的外向的，就是愤怒的、发疯的、很坚强的、不好惹的。另外那个人格有可能非常的柔和、柔软、谦卑，对，就非常 很奇怪的这么一种分裂。对。
Anyway, next time you look at the clock, I want you to think about whether you're using your mind or your personality to tell the time.
嗯。
I'm just kidding.
他就开玩笑说，哎，下一次呢，你就可以看你的表，到时候要看看是你的人格的时间，还是你的头脑所那个的感
Well,
觉。
I think the fact that Extraordinary stayed all this time and listened to us when he probably had no idea what we were talking about I think that's extraordinary.
对，他就是提到节他都不知道，他就给我们待这么长时间，可能都不了解，在不了解我们在讲什么情况下，还能跟我们待这么长的时间，是表现非常的优异的，就是用你的名字杰出的，表现非常杰出的。
And I think we can tell the listeners that we're done with reading for today. We've finished the section. We can keep talking, but we've finished the reading for today.
好，今天读书的部分就到这儿结束了。对，可以有时间可以聊聊天，但是读书的地方就结束了。
And